All right, welcome everybody to our fourth hearing. Madam Chair, you can begin. You're on mute, Cindy.
I do apologize. Thank you, Randy. I want to welcome everybody to this public hearing, which is the fourth that we are conducting to gather input regarding the proposed integration plans that will come to the Board of Governors for consideration next month. As I've said at the beginning of each of these hearings, I reiterate that the intent behind these integrations is to expand opportunities in the Commonwealth to help us preserve the on-campus experiences that our 14 institutions provide and expand our reach to better serve new students who seek a different path. Our current and future students need to know that we are committed to these institutions and to finding the best solutions that ensure they are able to thrive for years and years to come. And I would add that assurance to our faculty, our staff, all of our stakeholders. At the end of the day, integration is based on the premise that these universities can do more together than they can do alone. And so we are here again to gather input as part of an inclusive and transparent process to review the plans, which again, were developed with the help of more than 1,000 students, faculty, and staff. Again, I thank everybody who has contributed to the plans and everyone who is offering comment to help us make the plans be the best that they possibly can. I've already reviewed the first batch of public comments. I have read every one of them. They are also posted online. And I express gratitude to people engaging in this effort through online comments and through participating in these hearings. As chair of the Board of Governors, I also want to acknowledge my fellow board members who are watching on Zoom or YouTube. Fellow board members, this is not a board meeting, so there will be no roll call and no vote taken today. And reminding my colleagues once again, we are not here to engage in discussion with each other or with those offering comment. We do not want to detract from their time in speaking. Our role here is to listen to all the comments and consider how they can inform our decision-making. So to get us started, let me turn it over to Randy once again to share some logistical information and get us going.
Thank you, Cindy, and good afternoon, board members and everyone who's joining us today. We are recording these hearings on our YouTube channel for everyone to view so that we can include the comments among those that we are collecting through email, through our website, and through other means. All the comments that we're collecting are being reviewed in an ongoing basis by the integrations teams so that they can identify actionable items that could be incorporated in the plans. The teams are also identifying actionable items that may not necessarily affect the plans per se, but could inform other documents or processes or future implementation efforts. The comments are being uploaded in batches to our public website so everyone can see them. And in July, we will bring to the public and to the board new updated plans along with a guide that outlines where changes may have been made in the plans based on the comments that we've received. Since they are here to listen and not speak during these public sessions, board members are viewing this through the Zoom webinar or through YouTube and will not be on screen. While each of these hearings is officially designated for either the Northeast or the West, we are here and happy, however, to hear comments on either or both of the plans during this hearing. So you're not restricted to commenting to just the Northeast or just the West. For today, we ask that speakers limit their comments to no more than 2 or 3 minutes out of respect to the others who wish to make comments. And we do have a good number of people who have pre-registered, so I'll ask you all to try to adhere to that 2 to 3 minute mark as much as possible. And I'll throw a timer up on the screen around the 2 minute mark so you know when you've got about a minute left. With that, we will now begin comments from those who pre-registered, and then we'll move on to everybody else who might have a comment to make. So let me start by asking everybody who pre-registered to please go ahead and click the raise hand button. And that will help me sort through you a little bit easier. and then we can get started. So first we'll start with everyone who pre-registered and ask you to click the raise hand button, and I'll call you in that order. And as I call on you, you'll be allowed to unmute yourself and start your video if you like. And so that you can make your comment once that happens. So we're going to start with Holiday. I think, see you before. Holiday, it's good to see you again.
Thank you. My name is Holiday Adair and I work at CalU. I recommend vetoing the consolidation plans because, one, they are based on a questionable process. The consultant report from the NCHEMS in 2017 specifically stated to not consolidate any institutions on page 29. I wonder that since this report also recommended amending Act 188 to dissolve the Board of Governors, that the Board of Governors decided to disregard this entire report. Statements about the plans being a result of hundreds of students, faculty, and staff imply that integration was an idea generated from the ground up. This was not so. Faculty worked very hard and against their better judgment on program array and integrating current majors into one program because they believed they could not say no. A lot of the work on the arrays and the integrated majors was done over winter break by faculty with no compensation. The spreadsheets faculty turned in are not any official documents that some sort of curriculum committee, which does not exist yet, can approve. So what is to become of these? Second, a questionable timeline encourages me to encourage you to vote no. Announcement of a 5-year integration plan broke at the beginning of last summer, I think, and then suddenly IUP and Slippery Rock were able to opt out by some additional clause put in Act 50, and the timeline shrunk to 2 years. Public comments close in a couple of weeks, the two plans get rewritten, and these versions go to the board for a vote after some brief public viewing and commentary, and then they're implemented by next year. Another reason I ask you to veto these plans is that there is a lack of support. So many people who are against the plans will not speak because they are afraid of losing their jobs. Yesterday, one speaker questioned the lack of staff statements. It is because they are afraid. They're afraid to be identified as opposing the plan, and they are our most vulnerable employees. Specific wording in the plan is not accurate, which makes me question the quality of data that the plans are based on. Just one example is the argument that integration addresses career readiness. Leaving aside the fact that college is way more than just career training, 4 of the 9 professions mentioned on page 79 of the West Consolidation Plan as high demand employment opportunities in PA do not require any college education whatsoever in order to be hired. My last comment is to summarize what I've heard at these public sessions. We were asked for actionable suggestions. All of the feedback given, whether it is a critique of the plans or identification of the flaws, all of that is actionable. So you have 299 written suggestions so far. Also, you've heard 78 statements in the first 3 public sessions. 77 of them told you to vote no on the integration. This is an actionable suggestion. Thank you for your attention.
Randy, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Next, we'll go to Jill Carlson, and you can turn on your audio when you're able to, Jill. Thanks, Bashar.
Hi, I'm Jill Carlson, and I'm speaking as a resident of Bloomsburg, and also a Pennsylvania taxpayer. I want to address how this consolidation would affect my hometown of Bloomsburg. I know that there are a lot of questions about how it's going to affect the quality of instruction and the student experience, but I think we got a taste last spring of how this is going to affect, the communities where these universities reside or exist. Last spring, when the students didn't come back from spring break, it was devastating, of course, for our local economy, but this is nothing compared to what it would be like should we lose the university altogether, or should there be massive layoffs of faculty and staff. Bloomsburg University is one of the largest employers in Columbia County. And not only does it employ many people, but these are well-paid jobs. And that's really important here because This is a relatively impoverished area. For example, over half of the children enrolled in the Bloomsburg Public Schools qualify for free or reduced price lunches. Imagine what will happen to the town of Bloomsburg should we lose the university as an employer. There can be no doubt that would be a gut punch to our local economy, and that would bring a host of other ills along with it. I think there's no question that students vastly prefer in-person classes. So this consolidation, I think, will only hurt enrollment at Bloomsburg. And as the enrollment drops, of course, the town will suffer. Student spending is a huge part of our economy. And all of this scenario is completely avoidable. For years, we system of higher education. The proposed consolidation seems to me to be an attempt to speed up that process. Instead of making schools less attractive to prospective students, we should be making them more competitive by reducing the cost for students. Students have plenty of opportunities to take online classes if that is what they want to do. But if a student can attend a private school or a school out of state for about the same cost as of a PASHE school where they're not guaranteed in-person instruction, that's what they're going to do. Pennsylvanians deserve a system of higher education that they can be proud of, and one, that they can be proud of, and one which provides our children with a robust education. So I strongly urge you to reject this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Brian Lohr.
Okay, thank you. My name is Brian Lohr, and I just finished my 31st year in the psychology department at Mansfield University. My training is in industrial organizational psychology, so I do know a bit about organizational change efforts. This would definitely classify as a major attempt at an organizational change by merging 6 schools into 2 in an unbelievable time frame. It's clear from the sessions beforehand that the board is not inclined to say no to this request. So most of this is just sort of going through the motions. I actually wrote a paper about that back in the 90s. So I'm going to propose instead a proof of concept approach. And what this is that we would do phased implementation over several years. Rather than just trying to do everything at once, which you're all getting the idea is a very difficult time, we would start with a small subset of programs that want to merge. We have surveys of faculty at Mansfield indicate 1/3 of the faculty are against consolidation, 1/3 are for it, 1/3 of them are sitting on the side. So take a small subset of programs that want to merge. With the agreement of the faculty, work out a curriculum or program for that subset. Work out processes for approving the courses. That hasn't happened yet, but that could happen for a smaller subset. Getting the entire subset for a university in place by November doesn't make any sense. Demonstrate that the resulting programs are successful in attracting students and retaining faculty members. You can't run a program without faculty. Show student enthusiasm for the merged programs. The results of this phased approach reduce the damage if the concept is wrong, which I believe it is, but doesn't matter. You can make adjustments before you move on to the next phase or group of programs. It keeps the whole debt load issue out of the picture for now, and we have tremendous debts at not just Mansfield, but all 6 schools. True independence of the schools is an issue to be resolved later. However, you can go ahead and merge parts that make sense now if you want to. And you're more likely, or you're likely to make it easier for the NCAA to say yes to independent athletic programs if you keep the schools independent while you're experimenting with the pilot programs for the combined programs, okay? Take smaller bites, slow the process down, and get to where you want to go at the end of your time frame, not within 2 years. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you, Brian. Next, we're going to Jean Slattery.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to express my concerns about consolidation and the speed at which it's taking place. My name is Jean Slattery. I'm professor and chair at Clarion, where I've taught for more than 30 years and have more recently worked on a PASHE committee on consolidation. I'm the proud mother of a Clarion alum. I respect Clarion students, faculty, staff, and administration, and want to do what I can to make us successful, as I believe that all of them want to too. My department has about 100 majors on the ground, as well as about 50 in our jointly offered online major with sociology. We are committed to our students and our classes are full to overfull, but we still cannot offer sufficient sections for our students. Students must take online courses through California and Edinburgh, both great schools. But I'm trying to limit their online sections to two. Two courses means 40% of their course load is online. That's fine for highly motivated and organized students and those with good internet. I would have done well. Many of the people presenting here do not have good internet. Rural Western Pennsylvania especially struggles in this regard. So actionable step one, increase good internet access in rural Pennsylvania. I work to mentor my students, but online students are more difficult to mentor. That means that our majors on the ground will likely receive 60% of the opportunities for mentoring that they have had previously, only 60% of the opportunities to work closely with student peers, except when mandated in online classes. Would you send your children and grandchildren to a school where their opportunities are reduced by 40%? Online education should not come on the backs of our face-to-face students. My daughter, bright and very extroverted, profited significantly from her advisor's mentoring. Our students, but especially our marginalized students, need us to mentor them, help them see what they can do and be, and explore opportunities for the future with them. They need help identifying the resources that will enable them to become successful. This brings me to actionable step number 2, increase the range of supports available for all of our students, especially our online students. Actionable step number 3, increase training to help faculty develop skills in effectively mentoring online students. It's a different ball of wax than what we've dealt with before. Actionable step number 4, offer enough courses on the ground that students can complete their major at their home campus when courses can be filled, such as in my department. Let's think beyond only learning content to helping our students succeed, to helping our communities and the state of Pennsylvania prosper. I urge you to vote no, or to vote to delay on consolidation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. Next, we'll go to Jason. We'll give Jason a moment to unmute.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Warsman, and I'm a faculty member in the music department at IUP, a position I have held for the last 23 years. The state system of higher ed has played a major role not only in my life, but that of my family as well. In 1972, my father joined the faculty at IUP in the counseling department, and I and my sister attended IUP for our undergraduate degrees. After receiving what I believe was an undergraduate education second to none, I was honored to join the music faculty at IUP in 1998. At the conclusion of this next academic year, a member of my family will have taught at IUP for half a century, which should hopefully inform you of my family's dedication to this institution. As I have witnessed the systematic defunding of PASHE during my time at IUP, I remain baffled at the lack of collective outrage from the Office of the Chancellor and the Board of Governors. Year after year, our system remains underfunded, and rather than make a full-throated defense of the importance of higher education in Pennsylvania and request for proper funding, there has been deafening silence. Where is your outrage that a lack of funding has resulted in the loss of talented faculty from our state system? Where is your outrage that our young people are now regularly looking to educational opportunities in other states because it is significantly more affordable? Where is your outrage that our students are taking on levels of debt that could significantly impact their ability to get married, start a family, and even own a home? Where is your outrage that the brand of Poshy continues to deteriorate due to these economic issues leading to decreased enrollment? And finally, where is your outrage that the communities surrounding Poshy schools have suffered economically due to this protracted underfunding? As representatives for students, staff, faculty, and the communities that Poshy serves, all of you have a moral obligation to share your collective outrage towards funding levels that put Pennsylvania almost dead last in terms of funding for higher ed. Is that truly the legacy that you want to leave behind? Speaking as a faculty member, I can easily share my outrage. I am outraged watching the anger and sadness of our students' big goodbye professors who were retrenched this academic year, especially since we as faculty were never given a voice as to how to find solutions for our current economic condition. I am outraged at watching retrenched faculty that have made significant contributions to their students and the state system try to find another job, house, and school system for their children in the midst of a once-in-a-century pandemic. I am outraged that members of the Pennsylvania legislature continually belittle the work that I and my faculty colleagues do, either through spoken comments or lack of funding, without a unified defense from everyone listening at this meeting. I am outraged to see dear friends and colleagues of mine let go to retrenchment while the individuals that created these funding issues continue to serve the Commonwealth of PA. And finally, I am outraged to see that a state system that I dearly love lose its prominence as a first choice for higher ed in the state. I will close with this quickly. A colleague of mine once told me that the purpose of higher education is to make the surrounding community a better place. Schools in the Poshy system continually and consistently make investments that will hopefully live on for generations to come. However, in order for us to do our job, you must do yours. Say no to this integration plan and demand that the state system be properly funded. All of us are watching you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Next, we're going to Edwin. We'll give Edwin time to activate his microphone.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm on an iPad and I had to find the right button to press. My name is Dr. 87. I'm now a former associate professor at Lockhaven University. There's a lot of talk, and there has been a lot of talk in the last 3 sessions about the damage that the redesign plan might do if it's implemented. But I'm here today to draw your attention to the damage that is already done to the state system. Because of accelerated integration plans, faculty-student ratio mandates, and unprecedented and sudden program closures, 31 faculty across the Poshy system have been separated from their universities on June 4th because of retrenchment, including myself, in the middle of the worst pandemic in over a century. Our absence from our campuses in the fall reflects a spreadsheet management style, a sledgehammer approach that has swept through the state system and has targeted schools that are slated to be consolidated. Every single one of us, all of us who've been retrenched, have performed vital functions. Many of us earned tenure and promotion. Some of us won awards for our teaching and performed service in our communities. Despite this, we ended up being characterized by 3 words: excess teaching capacity. The truth is, if the Spassky system were a patient needing medical attention. You've used Civil War era surgical practices when 21st century ones were available. You've amputated limbs where antibiotics would have made all that unnecessary. My own area of music at LHU, Lohr University, is basically finished. It's eliminated. We weren't even given a seat at the table on the working groups to discuss consolidation with our music colleagues at Mansfield and Bloomsbury. Now, data shows that participation in performing arts increases student success, and it helps with recruiting and retention. A vast majority of students who play in band and sing in choir, they're not music majors. They often select their schools based on the opportunity to participate in those activities because membership of these ensembles gives them a sense of community when they leave home for the first time. They also do better academically. But in the Spassky system, music programs remain the Cinderella of academic programs. To be honest, I'm just not seeing how you can tout expanded student opportunities while implementing faculty and programs cuts on this scale. On social media, our alumni are speaking out about it. Prospective students are nervous about whether they should attend a Spassky school. Some alumni are even saying they're not going to donate anymore. That's tragic. There's a big difference between cooperation and consolidation. In my opinion, cooperation between the campuses should have happened years ago. And one of the earlier speakers just made a brilliant suggestion about phasing this in gradually through cooperation. But right now, the current plan just seems to be raising more questions than it answers and causing more problems than it's solving. And I know I'm out of time, but I have one more thing to say. I'm asking you, the Board of Governors, to please apply the emergency brake on system redesign. Take some time to reflect on this. Listen to what you're being told by the stakeholders. Vote against consolidation and instead implement a reflection period with no more retrenchments. Stop the bleeding, lobby for this funding that everyone's asking you to lobby for. Take some time to formulate a plan that will not have such a detrimental effect on so many people in the Commonwealth. This is too important for you not to get right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Eddie. We'll next go to Michael Malcolm.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Loud and clear.
That's good, thanks. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am Michael Malcolm. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Economics and Finance at Westchester University. Just briefly on the process, when Act 50 was passed, I don't think anybody envisioned that it would lead to wholesale, dismantling in a matter of months of really a structure that served the Commonwealth pretty well for decades. But I want to put process issues aside for now and focus on the substance of the proposal. So, as an economist, what I can say is that it fails the basic precautionary principle. In particular, the costs of this program are immediate and very clear. Other commenters have spoken to those. The benefits, on the other hand, seem to be something kind of nebulous, speculative out there in the future somewhere. If there are benefits that are immediately apparent, they've never been articulated. Namely, we've come to learn in recent weeks that the plan does not reduce expenditures and does not create any new opportunities that students don't already have. Furthermore, significant uncertainties remain. We have no clear answers about what will happen to our athletic programs or about the various accreditations that our students rely on to validate their degrees. So we have immediate and large costs coupled with benefits that at best are speculative and vague. So what are we being told? Trust us, trust us, trust us, the benefits will come. Well, I hope that the Board of Governors can understand our skepticism. For those of us who have been around for a while, how many times have we seen some new pitch for bold new action, and when it's met with any level of scrutiny, the answer is trust us, just trust us. A few years later, the people who initiated that action are gone, and the students and faculty are there to pick up the pieces. If the benefits of this consolidation cannot be articulated in an explicit and data-driven way, I don't understand how the BOG can turn over the keys to the kingdom. I would urge you to vote no.
Thank you, Michael. Next, we'll go to Jennifer Taylor.
Hi.
Welcome.
Before I get started, I'm going to ask, the Chancellor, if he can please stop multitasking so that way he can listen. I usually start all my classes by making sure that students are paying attention. My name is Jennifer Taylor, and I'm a full tenured psychology professor at Loch Haven University. I was born and raised in El Paso, Texas, and I am a proud Mexican-American gay woman. When I first moved to central Pennsylvania, I experienced culture shock, and I was terrified to live in a community with no diversity and to work for a university where I was one of 2 Latina faculty. As of this year, Dr. Damaris Lopez was retrenched, and now I'm set to be retrenched as well. The integration plan states an intent to increase compositional diversity of underrepresented minority faculty and staff. Yet minority faculty are disproportionately represented among the faculty targeted for retrenchment. I have given my life to LHU for the past 11 years, and I have worked with various committees to try and convince 4 different LHU presidents that we can't just say that we support diversity and think that our job is done, or hire a DEI director and leave the work all to them. When you address the lack of diversity in higher education, you must do the work to commit yourself to facing the truth and the reality of systemic racism. So when you actively support policies and changes that disproportionately impact students, staff, and faculty of color, you are perpetuating a system of oppression. That is the act of systemic racism. Do you know that out of all the professors in the United States who make it to the rank of full professor, the only 1% are Latina? Here I am, part of that 1%, and set to be cut by a system that says it supports diversity. After these retrenchments go through and integration begins, you'll be able to count the number of faculty of color at LHU on one hand. If you want to stand against the advancement of systemic forms of racism, then I ask you to vote no to this integration plan. Our students deserve to have the very best, but you're taking it away from them. By getting rid of faculty of color, you are showing students of color that their hard work and determination doesn't mean anything, because in the end, people in power like you will ignore their voices and cut their jobs. Ask yourself, what have you done to advance diversity among the Board of Governors? Don't you think something should be done about the fact that there is only 1 woman of color? Again, I ask that you please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Jennifer. Next, we'll go to Beth.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Beth Connolly. In the spirit of transparency, I'll share that I am an APSCUF staff member. I'm not here today on the behalf of APSCUF. I was not asked to speak. I'm also married to a Shippensburg faculty member. I've been listening to the sessions because I work for APSCUF, but I'm here right now as a mom. Our 2 sons just finished school about 3 hours ago. We'll have a junior and freshman in high school when school starts back in August. So college is very much on the horizon for our family. Everything about this consolidation plan, I've been looking through the lens of how this will affect my kids. I have many concerns about this plan. The lack of specificity and detail make me nervous. As a parent of 2 future potential applicants, I have to say, I would be very leery of having my boys apply to these schools if they were going to be seniors next year. And this has nothing to do with the universities themselves. But the idea of core or general classes having to be done online after this year, that is a deal breaker for me. My kids did great this year. They made it work, but we didn't have a choice. And I can tell you when we're picking schools to apply to, you bet we have a choice. And knowing a significant amount of classes are going to be online will be enough for me for these 6 universities to not even make the list. So knowing how I feel for my own kids, I have sincere concerns about recruitment. And recruitment, not just for these 6 campuses, but the system as a whole. I mean, look at what's happening in Indiana. They are part of the discussion today. They're not being consolidated, but there's turmoil there. So I'm concerned about all the noise with the state system and how this plan being pushed through right now without specific detail will affect recruitment for all the PASHE schools. And I don't know about you, but I found the uncertainty of the last year and our pre-vaccine world to be exhausting. So the pandemic fatigue could be triggered with all the uncertainty with this plan, but I feel like you're asking the students, the faculty, the communities, and the families to take this huge leap when we're all exhausted. You know, before COVID, the mental health services on our campuses were being stretched beyond capacity. Since COVID, I would imagine the gap between what we are able to provide our students and what the students need has only continued to increase. I don't see how any board member can approve a plan that doesn't specifically describe how and if these services are going to be shared or consolidated. I don't think we've even begun to feel the full effects of the stress of the pandemic, the isolation, the financial insecurity, and very real trauma that our students have endured. When we send our students off to college, we're trusting that the campus community will continue to provide for their basic needs while they're away from their families for the first time. Mental health services is as integral for our students as electricity being on in the dorms, food in the dining hall, places to be active, and clubs and activities to be social. They're all basic human needs. And I imagine the stress levels on the students attending these 6 universities have been compounded by all the unknowns on this consolidation plan at a time when we should be doing more and supporting our students more than ever. This plan, as it reads today, doesn't provide enough detail to ensure their success. So I implore the board members to vote no next month, and please take your time to get into the weeds a little more, get a little more granular on what life on the campuses are going to look and feel like, and then decide, would you send your daughter or son there? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to William Calhoun. Just takes a moment for the connection.
Thank you. It takes a little while to join as a panelist, so
that's fine.
Excuse me for the delay. So my name is Bill Calhoun. I have been teaching math and computer science at Bloomsburg University for 24 years. I'm a dedicated employee of PASHE, as my colleagues are. And I'm here today to speak as a dedicated employee. I do find it very beneficial for the universities to work together. I'm currently working on a grant project that's working to improve developmental mathematics education throughout PASHE. And it's been a joy to work with faculty from other institutions. I volunteered to work on one of the subgroups, the one dealing with developmental education, and I was on a subgroup on developmental mathematics. And it was a pleasure to work with someone from Mansfield and someone from Lock Haven, as well as another colleague from Bloomsburg. So I definitely agree with the institutions working together. However, I want to express that working on this plan is not intended to be an endorsement of the plan. I agreed to work on it because here's something coming along and we're asked to have input into it. And, as a dedicated PASHE employee, I want to make sure that if that's what we're going to do, we do it in the best way we can. But please don't say that because faculty are working on the plan, that means we're endorsing the plan. I have grave concerns, as has been expressed many times in these hearings. So I'll just say that, the students that I have worked with have expressed concern about online education. I know that our administration has said that 60% of the students in the most popular majors would be able to do their upper level classes on campus, but that leaves 40% who would need to do online education for their upper level major classes. And I am afraid, as many people have said, that students are not going to want to do that, and this is going to hurt our enrollment, which is our biggest concern right now. So it just seems to me that it's not the right approach for right now. In any case, I would ask you to take some more time with this. Right now, students are not on campus. They really are not aware of what's going on. We need to give more opportunity for this to be discussed more broadly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Next, we'll go to David. We'll give David a moment to get connected. Welcome.
Very much for the opportunity to speak. I have just completed my 15th year teaching in the English and Philosophy department here at Lohr University, and I am proud to call two of the previous speakers, Dr. Severin and Dr. Taylor, colleagues. I am also saddened by the fact that I now have to refer to them as former colleagues. And I am speaking today against the consolidation plan. And there are essentially two basic reasons. First of all, there is stuff in the plan that argues against it. And there's an awful lot of stuff not in the plan that argues against it as well. If you take a look at the data that has been provided, and to be honest with you, the data that has been provided is fairly minimal, but Lohr University would be much better off financially, or at least better off financially, if left to its own devices, according to the state's own data. According to the surveys that were done of students, 2/3 of Loch Haven students and 2/3 of Bloomsburg students said that they would be much less inclined to attend a university where some of their education may have to be done online. And that is in the plan. That is the data, or at least some of the data in the plan. Not to mention the fact that the plan itself saves no money. It costs $11 million over the course of 5 years. $11 million is more than what the chancellor has asked for in his budget request this year. But there's a lot of stuff that's not in the plan that I think is really, really important to think about. Some people have already discussed this. I'll mention just a couple. The plan, as characterized right now, would simply exacerbate the digital divide that we already see in our students. People who do not have access to good technology and internet. The effect on the local communities has not been disclosed, even though that is a requirement of Act 50. I imagine that not very many people wanted to move to Key West during the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis. And so why is it that in the midst of a pandemic that is as big a crisis, at least as we have faced in the last 50 years, are we rushing to this kind of reckless plan without some additional consideration? I ask respectfully that the board either vote against the plan as a whole, or at the very least vote to delay the implementation of the plan for a minimum of 1 year. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, David. Next, we're going to Stephen. We'll give Stephen a moment to get connected.
Hello. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what we have to say today. My name is Stephen Marks. I am a Lohr Haven University alum and an Indiana University alum. I just wanted to speak against this consolidation that we now have on the table, and I hope that the Board of Governors and folks vote no or vote to delay so this can be studied a little bit further. I have concerns about the institutions that I've attended, being IUP and LHU, and the impact this will have on our students, faculty, staff, and community as well. I was inspired by my time at Lohr Haven University and IUP to work in higher education, and that's currently what I do now. And if you're looking at literature on higher education and what works in retention rates and what works in enrollment, getting rid of people that are going to support our students the best, such as a niche that Lock Haven has and what's kept me there for all 4 years and what's inspired me to keep going, I think is really tremendously shooting yourself in the kneecap then. So I hope that people take into consideration that Lock Haven has a certain niche in that personal interaction, and not to mention our competition with other private institutions like Penn State and Pittsburgh. They can go along, all year round and have whatever happened to them with funding and still bring people in just by the name. But with Pashi, I think it's more or less that we have a harder sell for some of our students and some of our potential students that are going to be here. And I think what sold me and what sold so many of my fellow alum and people that I'm still in contact with is how great the faculty and staff were at those institutions, and how having that support kept us there and was an attraction for us to be there. So I see that limiting the amount of faculty and staff with these layoffs would be very detrimental to that. And I ask that some of these institutions have their free will to be able to make better plans to increase retention and enrollment. And I hope that you consider that moving forward, and make sure that people also continue to have jobs, that the communities are safe and are prospering as well. So thank you for your time. And like I said, I consider you vote no, as well as continue to make this plan a little bit better.
Thank you, Stephen. Next, we'll go to Mark Cloud. Give Mark a moment to get settled in. Welcome back, Mark.
Hello, everybody. Board of Governors. I'm a professor beginning my 36th year at Lock Haven. After reviewing the plan, I have serious doubts concerning the viability of the plan. I've already submitted my 6-page response by email with the supporting evidence and charts outlining my concerns. I also provided in that report 3 alternatives for addressing the challenges. I hope each of the Board of Governors will review that response of the plan carefully and thoroughly. In my brief remarks here, I will just mention 2 concerns. Number 1, the integration plan highlights the diminished affordability advantage at length, but the plan fails to address that problem in any meaningful way. It is the number 1 issue to be solved. The problem is not a poor array of program options. That's not what our students are looking for. That's not what affects students, whether they're willing to come to Lock Haven. It's just gotten too costly. The state system administrators have said that the goal is not to save money, and indeed, the plan saves very little money. The plan is trying to fix the wrong problem at great risk to the futures of the affected universities and their respective towns. Number 2, Lock Haven University does not need to be saved by integration. Last fall, the State System Office had consultants examine the financial viability of various universities by themselves, individually, and when integrated. Lock Haven is the only university in that analysis that had green marks on all the measures by itself. In fact, we have the highest primary reserve ratio in that analysis, and we have met all of the goals of our original 5-year sustainability plan that was submitted last January, or a year ago, January, to date. We need a plan that offers real solutions to the problems our institutions face. Solutions like the Governor's Nellie Bly Scholarship Program creatively and directly address the fundamental challenge facing the state system. In contrast, the integration plan does not address the affordability gap and merely provides a veneer for doing something to address the challenges. The risk to our future ability to fulfill the system's mission and the well-being of our local communities is not worth gambling on a poorly developed plan of integration that does not address the real challenge we face. I urge you to read my comments I've submitted and I urge you to vote no on the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next, we're going to Neil. Welcome.
Hello.
Neil.
Hi, Randy, you're doing a great job running things here. Thanks for emceeing.
Happy to help.
I appreciate the chance to share some quick thoughts with you all. In addition to being a proud faculty member at Shippensburg, it's a great job. I love it. It's a great place to teach. I also serve as a member of the local school board in Camp Hill. So I've been on your side of the Zoom screen plenty in the last year. It's a strange and artificial way to communicate, isn't it? I mean, it's weird. Like we're having parallel conversations. Like I'm talking at you, and then later you'll talk to each other. It's artificial and it's unnatural, but it's the best we've got. So I appreciate you listening thoughtfully. I also really don't envy the position you're in. I mean, we've got a problem. There's a serious challenge. There's no easy way out of it, obviously. And now you're here to hear people talk about why they don't like it. And I'm adding to that. I have two things specifically to share. Dr. Greenstein, when you were doing your tour of universities, you came to SHIP and we met. I know you met a lot of people then. I don't expect you to remember me. But we were in a little small room. There were 12 of us. And you said you were familiar with a lot of how to run large organizations. But you said there's this new thing, shared governance. I'm excited about it. It seems like a real strength, a real positive thing. But I don't quite know how to wrap my brain around it. Can you help me? And I say with complete sincerity, it seemed like a sincere question, sir. My colleagues were silent. There was that awkward weirdness. You know, you had your pen out. You're going to take notes. Cody was there. And so I spoke. I said, you know, no analogy is perfect, but it seems like a marriage to me. That seems like a fair comparison where people work together to make a decision. You don't always get what you want, but you hear each other out. I don't want to sound like Oprah. I'm sorry if I'm verging into Oprah talk there. But, you know, if you're in a marriage and one person wants to buy a house and the other person's saying, no, I don't want to buy that house, you can't buy the house, right? It's a really hard thing to buy that house and then say, we've got a good, healthy marriage. And so I would call upon you, sir, with respect, to take a step back and don't disregard all the good things you're hearing from faculty. Well, we're an eager partner. I mean, think about what you heard just today from some of my colleagues, Professor Lohr, Malcolm, and Taylor. They said wonderfully insightful things, important perspectives. Please hear them out. To the board as a whole, I would say this. It seems to me like we're on a bus, a school bus, if you will, right? Students, faculty, admin, staff, communities. We're heading for a bridge. There's lots of signs out that say, don't cross the bridge. This bus won't make it on that bridge. The Perry Report, important people, much smarter than me. But you're driving the bus. And I urge you not to ignore the signals and the flares and the sirens. There's flashing lights. Please pull over and pause this. Thank you all.
Thank you, Neil. Next, we'll go to Curry. Give Curry a moment to get connected. Welcome back, Curry.
Thank you so much. 1 second, trying to get this. I don't see my screen coming on.
We had you for a moment and then you disappeared. There you are.
All right, there we go. Thank you so much. So yeah, my name is Curry Malat. I'm a faculty member at Westchester University. I'm a very proud union member, an APSCUF union member. And I'm also a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, Chester County. You can follow us on Instagram at PSL Chester County. Before I get started, I just wanted to draw attention to my background screen. As you'll see there, there's a list of dates at the university slated for consolidation. The first 3 are this weekend on Saturday, this Saturday, June 12th. We're going to be doing a tour around the school slated for consolidation, a solidarity tour. And so, I first, I want to just send out greetings to all of the students, the staff, the faculty across the state, especially to Dr. Edwin Serbin at Loch Haven, who was retrenched, and all the other retrenched faculty, all the other workers that have seen their times, their workable times decrease, their hours cut. There's a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation in Lancaster who works in food services at Millersville, and they're already experiencing cuts in their time and their workable hours, their ability to take care of their families. They're reporting that they're already experiencing these things. So when we're talking about the impacts of consolidation on working class communities, I think it's really important to note that, we're talking about impacts that are being felt throughout the state. And so, I want people to know, union people, students, working class communities, parents, that you're not alone, that we're with you. Just as we were together when we went on strike under the last chancellor, you're not alone still. We are still together. We will still be with you. And I just want to say, we're at the fourth session. The fourth one of these public comment sessions is going to be coming to a close, maybe in a few hours. And I think it's abundantly clear at this time, if we consider all of the comments that have been made in the past couple of days, that this plan, the so-called plan, by this point, I would say has been fully exposed. It's been completely and totally exposed. It's been exposed for really what it is. It's not a solution to 20 years of budget cuts. It's a continuation of that. So this scam, this attempt to convince the working people of Pennsylvania that further cuts is a solution to 20 years of cuts, I think it's very clear from all the comments we've heard from professors, from students, from workers, from parents, that the people are paying attention. They have some intelligence about them. We know what's going on, and we're there for each other. And we see this. We see this thinly veiled attack on working people. And we're not going to stand by as it is carried out. And I think that's abundantly clear. To the Board of Governors, I can only imagine at this point, you must be asking yourselves, can we still get away with this? Can we still get away with trying to convince people a further attack is a solution to a long legacy of attacks? I hope that you're coming to your senses. I hope that you're beginning to realize we're not going to be able to get away with this. People understand what is going on, and they're not going to stand by as it is carried out. We're not going to stand by as our brothers and sisters and non-binary people across the state are under attack. Their livelihoods are threatened. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. There's one of the earlier comments, the speakers was asking to you all, where's your outrage? It's clearly there's no outrage coming from you. Of course not. You're on the other side of the table. Look at your faces. Look at these blank stares. Look at the apathy. Look at it. I mean, it's abundantly obvious. People see through it. So, I would say that working people across the state, we're united with each other. Our unity is growing. Our strength is growing. We are the 99%. You are the 1%. You will never be on our side and you're not going to convince us otherwise. We're smarter than that. We're the 99% and we're there for each other. So just know across the state, you're not alone. We are there with you. We will not abandon you. Together, we can win.
Thank you, Trudy. Next, we'll go to Vivian. Give Vivian a moment to connect.
Hello.
We see you.
Okay, good. Hi, I'm Vivian Severn, and I am affiliated with Lock Haven University. Last week, I shared my story at a public comment session provided by AppScuff, and I hope you'll read Bill Shackner's article in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette on June 3rd, which was submitted to the board via email. I am the wife of Dr. Eddie Severn, who spoke earlier, and I speak today as someone whose life has already been negatively affected by this plan being rushed through, a plan which you have not yet voted on. I am here to ask the board to vote against the plan, and this is one of the reasons why. This plan strays from the PASHE mission statement, and that's a problem. On the website, it's stated that the mission of the system is as relevant today as it was at its founding, to increase educational attainment in the Commonwealth, to prepare students at the undergraduate and graduate levels for professional and personal success in their lives, and to contribute to the economic, social, and cultural development of Pennsylvania's communities, the Commonwealth, and the nation. Many previous speakers today and yesterday have pointed out problems and questions in the plan regarding the first component, educational attainment. As for the second component, from student surveys, results, and listening to students speak, there is insecurity and doubt as to whether this plan will adequately prepare them for success. The third component, the economic, social, and cultural development of communities, that is a huge problem. The plan's potential economic effect is significant enough to the Lock Haven mayor, the city council members, and the Clinton County commissioner that a resolution was to oppose the plan was passed. As for campus life, if this plan is implemented, students will be forced to spend more time learning online, co-curricular activities will diminish, and university identities will dissolve. There will no longer be a sense of community on campus or in the towns. I am a lifelong advocate of the arts and a former music teacher in both public and private schools in 2 countries. Severe cuts, Severe cuts to the arts hurt at every level of education worldwide. Among many things, the cuts in the arts at LHU have damaged recruitment efforts and retention of students. Some of my husband's former students have declared they will no longer endorse any PASHE schools or donate. They've expressed embarrassment, shame, and anger at their alma mater and with PASHE. So, members of the Board of Governors, I respectfully urge you to reflect on why you sit on this board and ask you to keep the mission statement in mind as you vote on this plan in July. Please vote no, and please ask the General Assembly for fair funding for the system. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Vivian. Next, we'll go to Jacqueline. Jacqueline, you should be able to turn on your audio and video now. There you are.
Thank you, Randy. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Sorry, I just lost connection there for a minute.
That's right.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak, to express my concerns about the consolidation plan. My name is Jacqueline Knaus. I'm an assistant professor of chemistry at Clarion University. Like many of my Clarion students, I come from a rural background, a working class family, and I am a first generation college graduate. I am here today to ask you to vote no or to delay consolidation. Chancellor Greenstein made the following comments in his July 2020 remarks to the Board of Governors on the importance of our regional institutions. He stated, "We need to maintain or expand high quality education opportunities for students across Pennsylvania. It's our mission, not just any student, It's a particular kind of student, the low and middle income students that we were born to serve, those who are not served elsewhere, the underserved. He also stated, there is evidence in rural America, including our part of rural America, that students who are unable to attend their regional universities aren't getting in the car or on a plane. They don't go to college. I understand that the goal of consolidation is to increase opportunity for students while ensuring our institutions are here to serve for decades to come. But I am not convinced that this plan assures my students, those students, and I quote, underserved students who will not get in a car or on a plane to attend elsewhere, the same opportunities as students who can attend one of our sister schools not slated for consolidation, a state-related school, or a private institution. Again, I ask you to vote no or to delay consolidation. The concerns raised by students, faculty, staff, and community members in these public hearings are more than just issues of clarity and points of confusion. While I know that the Board of Governors are not at liberty to answer questions at this time, I would ask if the public comments are used to change or improve the plan itself, or only to change how the plan is communicated to us. Using the public comments to substantially improve a hastily prepared plan would support the Chancellor's narrative that this is a transparent, consultative, and course-correcting process. However, using the comments only to try and explain the plan better leaves me wondering if the public comment period and public hearings are just theater. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And next we'll go to Ryan. And we'll give Ryan a moment to get connected.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you for hosting this. As a staff member, I recognize and understand the need for a sustainable, financially sound, student and community forward plan to ensure the long-term success of not only the system, but also for the success of the individual designated for integration universities. However, as a member of the Commonwealth and a taxpayer who will be footing the funding for PASHE and the institutions, it's evident to see that the plan as proposed lacks some detail, focus, and real-life deliverables to benchmark and provide strategy or other course of action to achieve that sustainability. Additionally, it's glaring to see that the plan offers little answer to the concerns that integration will, in essence, cannibalize the institutions and the resources that support the students against themselves. To rush into a decision, whatever that decision is, based on an incomplete plan, mis or disinformation, is a dereliction of the duties appointed to the esteemed individuals serving on the Board of Governors for the students of the Commonwealth. The magnifying lens of all of higher education across the globe is focused on the upcoming actions on the vote to approve, delay, or deny integration. I only ask that you consider this. How do you want your legacy on this board, serving this Commonwealth and its students, to be viewed? Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. And next we'll go to Mafuzil. Give you a moment to connect.
Hi, sorry about that. There was something on my screen and I thought that, I got disconnected somehow. All right, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Honorable members of Board of Governors, my name is Mahfuzul Khandekar and I am a professor at Kutztown University. I am also a proud alum of IUP, receiving both Masters and PhD in 2001 and 2004 respectively. I am here to urge you to vote no to the consolidation plan. Ours are not online universities, and our students are not online students. Teaching online classes during the pandemic in last 2 semesters, I experienced that most students who are forced to take online classes either failed the class or withdraw at some points. This means online classes will not serve our students well if they are forced to take them. Also, it is very clear that the consolidation does not save money, as one of the previous speakers said. On the contrary, it will cost more than $10 million, closely about $11 million of taxpayers' money. In addition, this will have devastating effects on the communities where these universities are located. Local business will suffer tremendously, as we already heard and we saw this. So I implore that you consider these issues along with many others that will negatively impact our students and Commonwealth and oppose this plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mapuzal. Next, we're going to Christine and then Susan. So Christine will connect. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Chris Offit, and I am a proud product of and professor in the PASHE system. I earned my bachelor's and my master's degree at Edinburgh University, and I have been a professor of psychology for 23 years now at Loch Haven. I am respectfully asking that the Board of Governors vote no on the proposed integrations. It has been repeatedly said that when Loch Haven, Mansfield, and Bloomsburg merged, that they'll each retain their unique identities and that student opportunities will be increased. From serving on 2 integration subgroup committees, I can attest to the falsehood of these claims. The degree requirements for all academic majors at Loch Haven, Mansfield, and Bloom will become identical if we are merged. This means that the unique characteristics of each school's programs will be lost. It is these unique characteristics that attracted our students in the first place, including Stephen Marks, who we heard from earlier. These students have their own unique career aspirations, and they want an undergraduate program that will prepare them to achieve their unique goals. They don't want the one-size-fits-all degrees that will result from this integration, and they will look elsewhere to find programs with unique identities. Another aspect of each school's unique identity that will be lost by a consolidation is our athletic programs. Approximately 25% of Loch Haven students are student athletes who came to Loch Haven because of the strong reputation of, for example, our wrestling program, softball team, and field hockey programs, and our coaches. It is uncertain whether or not the integrated entity, which doesn't even have a name at this time, will be viewed by the NCAA as one institution. If it is, that means only one program for each sport will be permitted. So 2 of the 3 schools won't have, for example, a football team, a lacrosse team, a track team, and so on. Our student athletes, who, by the way, are some of our most successful students academically, will look elsewhere and transfer to schools that champion their sports and offer the academic majors they desire. I strongly urge the Board of Governors to vote no on this consolidation. To consolidate Loch Haven, Mansfield, and Bloomsburg will not provide students with increased opportunities. It will instead create a one-size-fits-very-few university that lacks an identity and that will attract decreasing numbers of students and lead to a downward spiral. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thanks, Chris. Next, we're going to Susan and then Stanley. You're on mute, Susan.
Oh, go figure. It's going to be a day today. All right. So good afternoon. I spoke yesterday, so you're familiar with me, but thank you again for this opportunity to speak. My name is Susan Morris Rutledge, and I'm an associate professor of education at CalU. Again, I strongly urge you to vote no or delay your vote on this proposed consolidation. Not only does this consolidation impact student-teacher relationships, networking, and capacity building, but there is a distinct lack of advocacy on the part of the BOG to increase public funding through state legislation. The dire financial issues facing the PASHE system are in many ways a result of purposeful choice not to fund state education while increasing funding for private education. In addition, consolidation takes opportunities for social mobility and job growth away from rural areas that need it the most. We have the ability to give our kids the world right here in our own communities, and you all should be advocating for this. And so I'm going to leave you with the Alaska example. In 2019 and 2020, Alaska tried to, as a state, consolidate their state universities. Well, they weren't successful because they learned a good lesson. So the University of Alaska interim president, she says this: the success of the University of Alaska is dependent on our communities and businesses embracing their campuses and programs. Future actions will keep the trust of the communities and businesses at the top of the list. Alaska learned this. We need to learn this. Finally, I would like to take the time to invite all of you, the chancellor, the BOG, and our state legislators to come to my classroom, to talk to my students, to watch me teach, to engage in a lesson with me, and see what we do right here at CalU. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Susan. Next, we'll go to Stanley, and then somebody whose name is S. Bartori. But Stanley, you'll go next.
Oh, great. Hello, everyone. Chancellor Greenstein, Chairman Shapiro, other governors who might be listening. Thank you for such attention as you're able to give us. I oppose, if I were in your shoes, I would vote no on this integration plan. I can't match the eloquence of some of my colleagues and some of the students and alums and community members who've spoken, but I want to associate myself with their emotion and with their description of some of the effects that this will have. At Lock Haven, we've already lost a couple faculty members to retrenchment. We're slated to lose roughly 43 more out of like 200 next year. And technically that's before the integration occurs. But I'm looking at, on my screen, and you're familiar with it because you have the document, the very last page of the integration plan. This is Appendix Y3. And it's the projection, the comparison between the integrated universities and then the individual universities, and two scenarios there: individual universities added together and individual universities added together if they conduct business as usual. So three scenarios. And in those three scenarios, when we get to fiscal year 25-26, it looks like the integration plan makes a roughly $45 million difference in the annual balance sheet, annual net revenues of the universities. Where if we keep going as usual, the three universities combined will have a $30 million deficit, but the three universities integrated will have a $15 million surplus. And I suppose you could say that that's a substantial difference. However, The middle scenario in that line chart indicates what happens under the, if the universities are maintained separately under the under the cuts that have been mandated to meet student faculty ratio targets. 2/3 of the difference between business as usual and the integrated balance sheet comes from the cuts in staff, and those, a large portion of those are reductions in faculty, but there's also reductions in other units, other employee units. So, the difference between unconsolidated but retrenched universities and the integrated universities is only a $15 million difference by 25-26. And the difference between those two scenarios is that we're projecting a 1% annual increase in enrollment in the integrated university, but we're assuming flat enrollment if the three universities stay separate. I've submitted a written comment describing my skepticism of even maintaining stable enrollment, at least at Loch Haven. I don't see any basis in the plan for projecting even a 1% increase in enrollment. So I think this is based on, just even in that respect, faulty reasoning and faulty data. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Stanley. Next, we're going to Spartori or Spartori, is what your screen name says, and then we'll go to Jackie. Just wait for connection. Spartori or Spartori?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can. And if you could just state your name for the record, that'd be helpful.
Steve Borderillo. Yeah, you probably have received about 500 comments from me so far, so I might be leading that. But listen, I'm against the plan, so let's just put it out on the table there. That's fine. But I want to talk a little bit something different. When you look at this, and I appreciate everyone taking time to go through this, but when you look at this, there are things that are glaring out there. We're 99% even higher of disapproval, rejection. People don't agree with the current plan as it is. I get it. But my thing is, like, there are other means, other opportunities, other ways to do things too, through raising a ton of money then too, if that's possible. And like I said, I'm a byproduct of Loch Haven and Villanova. And the reason why I say it is Mr. Greenstein, we had a nice little conversation. I sent an email not too long ago, and I posed him a question. I said, you know what, you went to University of Pennsylvania. What if Pennsylvania, Temple, and Villanova all merged together or integrated? How would you feel? And not going verbatim, but Mr. Greenstein, if it's for the benefit of the students, I would be on board with that. So I said, okay, valid point there. But is it really, truly, that's how someone feels? Because I know as someone who's a alumni of Villanova and of Loch Haven, I would be concerned about that. I would be concerned that there aren't other opportunities that you could do or other opportunities that be taken, because there's that pride factor that's involved there too. That saying, we're taking the easy way out. So while I think it's, I appreciate the comment back, and we shared a couple comments back and forth. I don't know if that's really truly how everyone feels. And if you hear from the comments from a lot of people, and really, like I said, 99%, they do feel they really love their representing their own university. Now, I'm going to throw it out there more to the governors out there and the representative group here. And forgive me if I'm wrong, or my ignorance. I don't know if any of you have graduated from one of the schools being considered. If you have, how do you feel about it? Do you feel as engaged that it should merge like this? Put yourself in other people's situation. How do alumni, how do students, how do stakeholders, how do communities feel about that? Do they feel, are they on board? Obviously, you're going to get a lot of resentment, but do they feel that they're on board? The other thing that I look at then too is, why don't you look at if you're thinking this, look at holistically, all 14 schools. Why identify 6 of them? You know, this is an opportunity for you to sit back, take a look at it. And with that is one of the things is the stakeholders, and I mentioned this, I would be more than happy to participate in any way possible. I've submitted my my information and said, please let me know. I've been directed to Lock Haven, which has been great throughout the whole process. But I say, you know what, hear more from the people who want to participate. And with that, you've heard from a number of professors. You have the biggest resources right here. You have 14 schools of so much information. Tap into them. Bob, I see you shaking, you rubbing your eye and saying, like, that's not a bad point, Steve. And I agree with you. Say, you know what, tap into these people to get the people to understand you have resources that can help you make the decision. You know, anything, we all know projections. I teach, just like many of us do. You can make projections, you could statistically say whatever you want them to say, but I say use your resources, use the school system and have that, get the most out of them to make a viable decision. So again, I appreciate the time, but I just think there's a lot more work to do than just coming to a decision in the following months. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Next, we're going to Jackie and then Kyle. We'll give Jackie a moment to connect.
Hello. As a recent Lock Haven grad and student athlete, I have held a lot of positions with my involvement. So I've been able to speak with a lot of the students on campus, as well as some of the students from Bloomsburg and Mansfield. And it is hard to list all of the concerns that we have in 2 to 3 minutes just to talk about them, as it's not nearly enough. But throughout my 4 years, I can say that as a Lock Haven student, I have a lot of pride in Lock Haven's rich tradition. Athletics plays an important role in Lock Haven's identity. With the number of students at Lock Haven, it's insane to imagine what it would be like with this integration, as we don't have an answer from the NCAA. It brings a lot of concern, and it's very scary for us student athletes, as there's a large amount of student athletes that are on Lock Haven's campus. The chances of student athletes transferring is very high. And I've talked to a lot of my teammates and a lot of the teammates from the other teams, and they're very concerned for athletics. And with Lock Haven, we want to maintain its identity. We, as students, love Lock Haven, and what makes Lock Haven is the people. We support our diverse professors, faculty, and staff. As students value the personal attention with our professors, faculty, and staff. With our Bentley staff, which is where we eat for food, dinner, and whatnot, we value each and every staff as they, bring a smile to our face, and they're always excited to see us, and they love to get to know us. It's the same with our athletic department. Our athletic department loves to see each student and cheer us on every day, as well as our wonderful professors who are there for our games. They're always cheering for us and rooting for us, whether we're away or if we're at home, they're always there to support us. Another concern as a student is that we love our face-to-face classes, and due to COVID, we've had a lot of classes that have been on Zoom. And from my personal experience, I've had all my classes on Zoom, and it was incredibly hard to say that, as it was my last and final year at Lock Haven. And for the following students that are following in my footsteps, it would be incredibly sad for me to see them all take classes fully on Zoom. And that's a huge concern for integration. What makes Lock Haven so unique is its faculty to staff and student ratio. We love the small class sizes, and that's one of the reasons why I chose Lock Haven. With the small class sizes, I got to personally get to know my professors who I love so dearly, and I got to know all of my friends who are now my family, and it's really sad to see that this could change drastically in the next couple years, and it's really scary. And I definitely can understand the concerns with Zoom, as it's harder to concentrate, and most students do prefer the face-to-face classes. And with these different environments with Zoom, I know a bunch of my fellow classmates have had troubles with the environments being with internet connection and learning how to use Zoom, as well as, having roommates and parents and siblings who hop in the room, and, there's nothing you can do, and you're taking an exam and your internet might crash, and it's really scary, and we want to do our best, and we are the future. So we feel that this decision is being rushed, and we believe it's the best interest to vote no, or at least delay. Students at Lock Haven want Lock Haven to remain the same and keep its identity. As students, all we ask is that you listen to our concerns and take action to ensure we are in your best interest, as we are the future. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jackie. Next, we'll be going to Kyle and then Clover. We'll give Kyle a moment to connect.
Good evening. My name is Kyle Schlecht, and I am a student at Lock Haven University, and I am here tonight to advocate against the Northeast consolidation plans. While this proposed plan looks to achieve sustainability and collaboration across the PASHE system, it will do the complete opposite. As a student, I am worried. I'm worried about my academic program being taken away from my home campus. I'm worried that my friends' academic programs will also be cut and their athletic programs will be left in uncertainty. I'm worried that a great number of professors who have educated and inspired me will no longer be employed by PASHE. If this consolidation plan goes through, it will show that the Chancellor and the Board of Governors do not represent the students, faculty, and staff whom they serve. The public comments today and over the past few days have reflected that these consolidations are not supported. Chancellor Greenstein, my hope is that you stop pushing for this consolidation and begin to listen to those who it will affect. I think it is time to revisit the drafting board to come up with a solid plan that will lift the Commonwealth state system of higher education for the better. A vote to consolidate is a disservice to students, faculty, and staff at these universities affected. Please listen to my voice, a real student. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. We'll go to Clover next, and then Michael Parati. Just a reminder for those who may have joined late, if you do have a comment that you'd like to make, just click the raise hand feature, and that will put you into the queue, and then we'll call on you in the order in which they've come in. So next we'll go to Clover and then Michael.
Hi there.
Hi.
My name is Clover Wright. I'm an assistant professor of early childhood education at California University of Pennsylvania, and I just finished my 12th year. I'd like to respectfully ask for the Board of Governors to vote no, or to at least vote to delay consolidation. I liked the term consolidation rather than integration because I find it very descriptive of the process that's taking place. I do work on an integration committee in the education department, and I have enjoyed connecting with my peers again in the sister schools of Clarion and Edinburgh. And I say again because I've worked with them before in other contexts. For example, I worked on the articulation project for PDE way back in 2009 as a new faculty member and a new mother. I also worked with them as part of the PA Keys, the Southwest Regional Pennsylvania Key that's responsible for coordinating efforts with childcare partners across our region. So it's not that I don't want to work with them. We work together on a lot of things. My problem with the consolidation process is that the compression of our programs and the reduction of choices, courses, and programs that students are going to be facing. It's basically standardizing. I'll speak about education for now. It's standardizing the program that students would take across these 3 campuses. So right now, we all are tasked with meeting the requirements of Pennsylvania Department of Ed and their teacher preparation. We all have the same framework that we work with. But within that framework, we use our intellectual abilities, our experiences, and all of our unique voices to create programs that are tailored to our strengths as departments, as universities, and the needs of our students. And so I think that it's important to remind everybody, especially in the Board of Governors who may not be aware of how much time and effort and work hours have gone into creating each program for each department across each campus. And to ask us to take what we have and cram it into this, as an earlier speaker said, one size fits all package, is doing a disservice to all of us, to our expertise, and to our students' needs. So thank you for your time today, and I hope you vote no.
Thank you, Clover. Next, we're going to Michael and then Paul. Give Michael a moment to connect.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Michael Parati, and I'm an associate professor and chair of education at California University of Pennsylvania. Proud alumnus of Mansfield University of Pennsylvania, Mansfield alumni donor, California PA resident, and Pennsylvania taxpayer. I'm here today to urge the Board of Governors to vote no to the proposed integration. In 1994, Mansfield University took a chance on a free lunch kid with less than stellar SAT scores, average class rank, but with a passion to become a teacher. I chose Mansfield because of the small town feel, expert faculty, wide-ranging academic programs, large course offerings, and support system. It has been a bedrock of teacher education since the 1880s, and most of the teachers who impacted my life in high school graduated from Mansfield. Since graduating from Mansfield, I spent 15 years as a high school teacher, received my PhD, and became an education professor, helping future teachers achieve their own dreams. In short, PASSHE, Mansfield, and its faculty changed my life, and it continues to change the lives of many in this Commonwealth. It has provided people of all backgrounds with the possibility to achieve their dreams, no matter where they're from. This plan is flawed in many ways, but I wish to focus on its lack of transparency and planning. I believe that any plan to redesign the public university system in PA must be purposeful and fair in gathering information and data from all stakeholders. The COVID-19 pandemic has limited the opportunity of many to voice their opinions based on their lack of technology and time. The last 16 months has been a time of personal and professional challenges for many. Plans such as the one before you should not be considered at a time when stakeholders, taxpayers, and students cannot fully vet them due to these challenges. How can a plan be vetted when few are on campus, many are working, caring for loved ones, and even busy schooling their children? Even campus life at many of our institutions have been upset by the pandemic, as class offerings have been reduced and programs cut. It has been stated that integration is the only solution to many issues that hamper our institutions, and I believe that's not correct, and agree with many who have suggested that a solution may start with advocating for more state funding. I would also suggest that PASSHE leadership recognize the current opportunities to gather all stakeholders for a wide-ranging and lengthy data collection process, especially with face-to-face instruction returning and community meetings returning face-to-face. Before I conclude, like Mansfield did for me many years ago, I'm urging the Board of Governors to take a chance on the PASSHE system. Seek to find new ways to fund more classes, programs, faculty, and community opportunities while maintaining universities that have existed since the 19th century. Please vote no on this integration plan. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Michael. Next, we're going to Paul and then MG. So we'll give Paul a moment to connect.
Hello, everybody.
Back,
nice to see you all again, and thank you for looking up at me. I'd already admonished you last time for not looking at me, so I'd appreciate if you looked at me the whole time again. And I would also like to say I feel especially Dan Greenstein has been busy. He's been eating. He's been looking off the screen. He's been looking down, and I'm concerned that I'm not being listened to. But the thing is, the real big thing is, this is a pattern from him. So, well, I can't share my screen. You would just say, well, can I share my screen, please?
No, we're just doing public comment. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I believe if this were in person, I would be able to show people things, but regardless, let's see if this will work. So I'm a member of an activist group at Kutztown called the Kutztown University Activists, and we've had issues with our president, President Hawkinson. Now, these have gotten so bad that we asked Daniel Greenstein for help, and he refused to help us. I'll read an email sent to Daniel Greenstein from a student activist. Dr. Greenstein, my name is blank, and I'm a student at Kutztown University. I've been aware of the Kutztown campus police officer named Alan Schwartz, who has posted biased and concerning images and content that poses harm to BIPOC and Muslim students. There have also been reports from current students that have experienced bias from this officer and others on campus. Sorry. This was brought to the attention of administration at Kutztown University in February, but is still employed by the university. He's been fired, by the way. We did win. No thanks to you. Kutztown has done nothing to aid in the protection of the community, even with strong concern from students. The students have recently discovered the information that he is president of the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education Officers Association. This is a safety concern for students, staff, and community members of the entire state system. As Chancellor of PASHE, I am holding you accountable to take immediate action for your students' safety. With this officer being president of the PASHE Officers Association, and his bias and beliefs have and will affect his work and other officers, meaning that this is not a purely KU issue. It's a statewide worry within colleges and your students. Thank you. Now, this was his response. Thanks for yours. I appreciate you reaching out. This is a university personnel matter, and as such, in the hands of the university, not the chancellor's office. Accordingly, I am going to encourage you to continue directing your inquiries and questions there. Thanks for understanding, D. He didn't even sign his complete name, just the letter D. Now, this wasn't just sent to one student. We have 3 confirmed separate students that have gotten the same copied and pasted email. Now I'd just like to read some of the comments from our Instagram post where this is posted at KU Activists. Again, trash. This feels like it would be in a sitcom or something for comedy, not how an actual adult would answer concerns. He couldn't even spell out his name. Not very professional, I agree. He said, not my problem, go to someone else. Like, sir, if you're the chancellor of PASHE and the problem is that this bigot, racist, walking safety hazard is on your personnel, then who else's problem would it be? Bruh, so gross. And this is what I wrote. Chancellor Dan claims to talk and care about students' voices and input. Does this seem accurate to you? Now I'd like to move on to my next thing that I wanted to talk about. We know that these meetings, there's only been 4 of them. And many people have jobs. Many people have families. These are not accessible. The only reason I've been able to go to so many of these is because I'm currently not working right now because I'm recovering from surgery about my amputation that I talked about yesterday. So I've collected a couple of things that people have said about why they want to fight against this consolidation, and I'd like to read them. I know I'm going over my time, but I'm going to read these, and I want you to think about this like it's a separate person saying each one, because these are from all separate people who, for the most part, are not able to be here today. So I'll read this. Like I said, it'd be better if I could share my screen, but that's okay. LHU student, I am here because I'm against the consolidation and fearful that is a step closer to killing colleges within the state system. KU student, I don't like how non-transparent Chancellor Dan has been through this whole process. What is he hiding? Westchester University, I want to learn more about the situation because education is important and a right, and it needs to be funded as such. As a recent WCU Westchester alumni, I am concerned about consolidation damaging the state system and destroying our institutions that offer an affordable and accessible education. I also support a tuition-free system, and I'm also worried about how consolidation would affect student services. As a Lock Haven University faculty member, I believe in the importance of affordable, quality higher education, and I fear that actions taken by Chancellor Greenstein are a threat to public higher ed, especially at the schools facing consolidation and at schools facing major layoffs. LHU is facing both. Born and raised in Northwest PA, recent graduate from Clarion University, I'm here to build a mass movement of working class people to demand PASHE for the people of PA. I'm here to build a statewide movement of students and workers fighting consolidation. I am not in favor of the state losing over 1,500 jobs. The chancellor has ignored my emails and calls Why is he refusing to talk to regular people? Westchester University grad student. Fortunate to not have loans to pay on behalf of my peers who have loans. I need answers. Why did legislation stop funding universities? I also need results. Hi all, Westchester University faculty, former adjunct and alum. Public higher ed is essential. I am from Cal U and I want to learn what I can do to spread the message. Recent Westchester University graduate, disappointed in lack of transparency, worried about job losses in already struggling rural PA communities. Redesign does not help address brain drain issues in PA, et cetera, et cetera. There's another one here. I think there's only a couple left. I got to find them. It's a whole thing. We need to build a mass movement among students, community members, workers, and faculty. Now, this is somebody from California. Alumnus of Palomar College in San Marcos, California, Community College of Philadelphia, George Washington University in Washington, DC, and LaSalle University in Philadelphia. We're now ending a pandemic where brick and mortar facilities have become superfluous, I think. This trend in capitalism is vertical and horizontal integration, mergers and acquisitions. And I want to learn more about why this approach is being applied to education. And my last one is consolidation only affects the ruling class, the capitalists. The main source of jobs in these rural communities are being taken away. Tuition will go up and program quality will go down as more programs are fostered online. We need a mass movement of the working people to combat this unnecessary consolidation. I urge every person in this meeting to come and talk. Let your voice be heard. You have privilege to be here and listen, so speak. Speak for 3 minutes. Speak for longer than 3 minutes. Let your voice be heard and speak out. Goodbye.
Thank you, Paul. Now we'll go to MG and then Caitlin. MG. Give a moment to connect. MG, are you able to connect? MG on, I think, if I'm not pronouncing the last name properly. We'll go to Caitlin and then come back to MG. So Caitlin, and then we'll come back to MG. And after Caitlin, if MG's not, her technology is not working or his technology is not working, then we'll come back to Kara. So Caitlin, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Blair. I graduated from Westchester in 2018 with a bachelor's in chemistry, and I'm currently a medical student committed to practicing psychiatry in rural and other underserved communities. I'm completely against this consolidation plan. I apologize if I sound a bit weird. The entire left side of my face is still a little bit numb from dental work I had done earlier today. Being a medical student, a PCAR certified sexual assault counselor and victim advocate, and the director of outreach at the Philadelphia Human Rights Clinic leaves me with such little free time. I don't get around to seeing doctors and dentists, you know, all the things that you need to take care of yourself. This was my first opportunity in a long time to get myself much needed dental help. This meeting was so important to me. I rescheduled the rest of my dental work, the right side of my face that I'm super excited about, to be here to tell you why you should vote now. Considering the personal sacrifice I made to be here, I appreciate your full undivided attention. I have attention deficit disorder and have been able to devote my full attention to this whole meeting and expect that devotion be reciprocated. I can give you a second if you need. It's okay. Thanks. My family didn't have a lot of money. I got into more than 20 colleges, more quote unquote prestigious than Westchester. Most of those schools offered me scholarships that covered more than half the tuition rate, and all of them, even with the scholarships, were more expensive than Westchester with 0 scholarships. I worked full-time between multiple different jobs and even started my own business to get myself through undergrad and still graduated with $8 grand in debt. Thankfully, I was awarded a Board of Governors scholarship for my junior and senior year that enabled my education. I am incredibly grateful to have had the small class sizes for my upper level chemistry courses that allowed me to pursue research, connect with internships, have personalized faculty support, and find my passion for medicine. I am proud to have been educated by the PA higher education system And I'm incredibly thankful to be here today to make this case. I'm still in touch with my chemistry faculty mentors who helped me get to where I am today, but I am deeply disappointed. Why did this go full screen when you put up the thing? Okay. I'm deeply disappointed that the students, the people you're supposed to serve, have not been heard nearly enough on this consolidation. As a student with ADHD and as a future psychiatrist, I can tell you both personally and clinically, relying heavily on online classes, slashing faculty to student ratios will be devastating for students like myself with academic disabilities who need that extra support. Students with academic disabilities like myself need robust faculty support, mentorship, and a guarantee of in-person education. Without the in-person mentorship I received at Westchester, I would not have made it to medical school. For this, and for all of the reasons that I haven't been granted the time to share, I urge you not to settle. I urge you to lobby for funding, and I urge you to vote no or delay. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Next, we'll go to Kara and then Stone. And MG, if you're able to get back on, you can click raise hand and we'll try to bring you back. Give a moment for Kara to join. Welcome.
Hi, Randy. My name is Kara Laskowski. I am a professor of communication studies at Shippensburg University. And I think more importantly, I have long been an advocate for the state system in my 18 years at Shippensburg, but also, quite frankly, my parents met at Millersville. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our state schools. As an advocate, though, I have had a very difficult time lately responding to friends and neighbors who've asked questions about their rising seniors in high school who are looking at schools who are targeted in this consolidation plan. And instead of the enthusiasm that I want to offer, enthusiasm predicated on the dedication and talent of the faculty, those same faculty who have already been gutted and demoralized by the retrenchments that have been undertaken in order to achieve a false no jobs lost promise of this plan. And despite the amazing range of programs and the beautiful campuses that we offer, when friends and neighbors ask me about their rising high school seniors looking at these schools, I have to offer cautions rather than the enthusiasm that my own personal history and my own personal inclinations would ordinarily lead me to offer. My enthusiasm is tempered, my caution is elevated because of this plan, because of the lack of clarity, the lack of completion, and the lack of information it contains. And that includes, as we have heard from other speakers, issues of accreditation, issues of athletics, and issues of identity. Quite frankly, having read the plan, if I had a student who submitted a paper that had so many gaps, I would truly wonder if they had even read the assignment. Moreover, as noted by earlier speakers, many of these campuses serve some of the most disadvantaged students in our system. This plan does not save money. It does not afford experiences. Instead, it will further disadvantage those same students. I will also note that in addition to the absence of information in the submission, which fails to meet the legislation in Act 50, the plan is also notable for its failure to address the implications for the other 8 schools in the state system. Schools who have had newly proposed programs, for instance, put on hold or denied by the chancellor as collateral damage of this plan. Despite the false platitudes, this plan will not save money. It will not reduce costs for students, and it will not save our state system. It comes at the cost of jobs and programs and at communities, and most importantly, at the expense of our students and the mission of these 6 schools and the entire state system. We know that change is needed. We are at a critical juncture, and we know that change is hard. But even harder than change is admitting when you are wrong. It takes a combination of courage and vulnerability. Collectively, we must admit this plan is wrong for our system, it is wrong for our Commonwealth, and most importantly, it is wrong for our students. I urge all of you involved to have the courage to admit you're wrong, vote no on this plan, own the mistake, and focus your energies on securing the funding appropriations that our students deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Next, we'll go to Stone, and then I see MG is back. We'll come back to MG. So Stone. Give a moment to connect.
Randy, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Thanks, Randy. Chairwoman Shapira, Chancellor Greenstein, and University President, thank you for this opportunity for me to share my thoughts on the proposed plan before the Board of Governors. I'm a secondary education social studies major at Slippery Rock University. I acknowledge that Slippery Rock is not one of the targeted schools included in this plan. It was in some of the preliminary, but fortunately it was not. Briefly, I want to share my thoughts from a pedagogical reasons why this integration is not great. As we're taught in teacher preparation programs, which PASHE was founded on, that the best way to form successful educational outcomes in a university setting and even on an elementary level is through relationships. You cannot have a relationship through a computer screen. What these last 3 semesters of forced distant modalities have taught us is that our relationships with our peers, our professors, our faculty are fragmented. They are not whole. There is no way to mentor a child. That's really what our universities are about, mentoring our students into productive citizens and stewards to their larger communities, professionally and personally. For the university, personally, I'm a second generation Slippery Rock University student. My mother, who was the daughter of a homemaker and a truck driver who didn't finish high school, applied to Slippery Rock University and was able to complete her degree even when she was diagnosed with a brain tumor back in the 80s and 90s when that was quite a medical malady. Public education was, as Chancellor Greenstein talks a lot about, is the way into the middle class. I would not be in the position of privilege and comfort that I am now being a member of the middle class without PASHE, without the higher education system. I would just like to urge the board to delay this integration because I really think you need to look at it from a pedagogical perspective that that online classes are not useful. I can tell you from an economic point of view, which the universities are caring about their pocketbooks as well, that you're going to have more downward projections of enrollments because students do not want to do online. I can tell you, I can list names of students, quite dozens of students who left Slippery Rock University because of the online push, while other private institutions and other public schools like Penn State and Pitt returned or at least had a hybrid option these last few semesters because of the pandemic. Just in short, I think that something needs to be done with the universities, and I think it would come from a better partnership with the state legislature. Instead of just every year going on advocacy day to just beg for money. The burden of proof for why this plan is bad shouldn't be placed on the professors and students. It should really be on the chancellor's office to prove why this is the most equitable, most financially responsible plan available. And so far, the missing questions and missing pieces of the puzzle. If I was grading this plan, I would give it an F- and probably tell you you need to go to get some remediation in this. Thank you so much for your time today. And I really hope that you can reflect on what we're saying today and really speak of it, because all of you who already graduated, you already have your terminal degree. So the effects of today won't directly affect you. So think of your children and your grandchildren or your neighbors and the young Pennsylvanians that make the future of Pennsylvania, so we can be a stronger and better state. Thank you, Randy. Thank you to the Board of Governors.
Thank you, Stone. And next we'll go to MG.
Hello, my name is Mark Awney. I'm a professor of English at California University, and I am also the director of the honors program. I'd like to echo what my colleagues, Dr. Prati and Dr. Wright, had said, and my other colleagues, Dr. Adair in particular, about the difficulties of online learning, the challenges, particularly when it's not a choice that a student has. Beyond that, I would like to make two other points, one of which I think kind of echoing what Stone said just a moment ago in terms of the speed at which the integration is happening. If the integration is going to happen, it's an opportunity to create something brand new, a brand new university that has never been really never been seen before. And in many ways, that's a terrific chance to do something new and do something different. But unfortunately, it's being constrained by an extraordinarily tight time frame. The Apache system has a tremendous array of expertise and knowledge. And if the integration is to happen, I would urge you all to slow it down and do it right. Create something that is new, that is different, that is better than what exists now. My great fear is that if the integration goes through as planned in this time frame, it will be flawed from the very start, and we will spend hours and days and weeks of time fixing these problems that exist because of the speed, because of the rush, and predictably leading to what I fear will be a disillusion of the integration, simply because it was not planned out. It should be something that is planned out and executed over 3 or 4 years rather than 2. My second point is somewhat related to that. We've heard off and on from staff and from admissions, but I would like to reiterate the extraordinary job that the admissions people have in the best of circumstances. Tremendous pressure has been put on them over the years to deal with the shrinking enrollment and to increase our enrollment numbers, and many of them have done so very well. Right now, they have to start thinking about fall 2022. But how can they recruit for a university that does not yet exist? So if integration is going to happen, I urge you all to slow it down and make it a good, new, high quality thing, not a rushed, flawed thing. Thank you.
Thank you, MG. And we'll be going to Bethany next. But if you do plan to speak tonight, please go ahead and get into the queue. We'll be closing the queue, and so that the people who are already lined up will have time to speak. We will hear from everybody who is lined up, but go ahead and get in the queue if you're planning to speak tonight. Next, we're going to Bethany Brenner, and then after Bethany, we'll go to Rob. Give Bethany a moment to connect.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, hi, my name is Bethany Brunner. I am a recent graduate of Kutztown University. I got 8 years in political science and I graduated from the honors program. One of the first things I wanted to mention is back in 2019, I believe, at the conference for all the honor students in PASHE, the chancellor was asked a question about the worth of our degrees and things like that. His response was they were essentially worth less, only slightly worth more than the associates from the community colleges, which I found to be profoundly out of touch, and I think is reflected in this entire plan. So I urge the governor, the board of directors, everything to vote no on this, because it just seems like a plan that was not made with the intentions of anyone else except for the board in mind. Online schooling can be great. For me, it was fine. I graduated with a 3.98, but that's not the case for everyone. And it wasn't even the case for me back when I was in high school. I tried to take geometry online. I now know no geometry. There's just, it is completely unfathomable to me to believe that this plan could be helpful to anyone in any of the school systems, one of my professors at Kutztown, Dr. Richardson, mentioned that no matter where you go, private, public, community college, state college, anywhere you go, you can get a great education and it's up to the students. But the way that this plan looks to be integrated will not help students in achieving those goals. It will shut out students. The problems are, of course, money-based and interest-based, and the population of students is declining because the population of my generation is much smaller than the baby boomers. There are just so many problems, and I urge you to vote no. Thank you. Actually, no, not thank you. You do not deserve my thanks. Vote no on this.
Thank you, Bethany. Next, we'll go to Rob and then Rick.
Okay, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I'm going to speak as an alumnus at CalU. I spoke yesterday, but there's a couple things that I thought of. I haven't listened to everything today, about 80% of it maybe. But, you know, when I give a lot of classes and training for the military, you know, one of the things we ask, you know, are leaders born or made? Okay, and get some different answers. When we talk about leaders trying to tackle a problem, if we were to all take out a pen and paper and talk about how we're going to tackle this problem, we're all going to come up with different plans, right? What I've noticed is actually that we've heard a lot of faculty speak about this. We've had a handful of students, handful of staff. What we haven't heard are those administrators, those VPs. And I think that, you know, when we're putting so much time and effort into this, this forum, we're not even hearing from everybody. And I there's so many analogies that we've had over the last, you know, 24 hours. But, you know, the analogy that I'll use tonight is, you know, think of the chancellor and maybe his staff as the general and the colonels. Okay, they're ready to take over. They're ready to do whatever they need to do to accomplish the mission. We're talking to the soldiers. We're talking to those junior soldiers on the ground, which I consider myself, faculty, staff, and students. We're talking to them, right? But we're missing those folks that are leading us. We're missing those folks on our campuses that are leading us every day. We're not hearing where their thoughts are. And I think that's a component that I would encourage the Board of Governors to ask, to delay this plan, to actually hear that feedback. Because I'll tell you what, when I have a commander, when I hear a plan, sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. But he or she might actually persuade me, they might actually convince me that this is going to work out. I haven't heard that. And for the few that I have heard, they've told me it's not going to work out. So that's my challenge is to the Board of Governors, is to actually pause this, go back to the drawing board and include everybody. Let's go back to the physical campuses that we weren't able to do in the last year. Let's face it, that is a critical component to this. There are so many impacts that this plan will have on generations. The last note that I'll make is actually related to the 273 page, I think it's 273 Western integration plan. And also I think there's 79 pages on the PDF public comment. We're doing a disservice, and I'm speaking to the board, we're doing a disservice to the tens of thousands of military and veteran families. There's no mention, zero. And if you can find it in there, it's lumped in with some sort of subcommittee that these folks might have been on. There's no mention of that. Hundreds of millions of dollars. It's available, it's public information. Tuition assistance, GI Bill. These students are coming to our PASHE schools. They're coming to our PASHE schools. And one of the speakers before mentioned something about online schooling. A Congressional Budget Office report was published in 2019, a couple years old, with 2016 data. Out of 505,000 student veterans, these are actual veterans, not family members, 11% preferred and actually used online education. In our PASHE schools, it's much higher than that. They need that butts in seats. They need that camaraderie. So I encourage the board to delay this, to go back and do all of that work that's necessary, especially for our student veterans. We owe it to them. We're better than that. We're Pennsylvania. I urge you to go back and replan this entire thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And next we'll go to Sam, but I'll have to apologize to you all. I accidentally hit a button and it deleted the about a dozen hands that were already raised. So I've returned it on. If you could re-raise your hand if you were already up, I appreciate that. Sorry for that, everyone. We'll be going to Sam next. And then after Sam, we'll go to A, and the last name is W-E-I-N. So Sam.
Hello, I just wanted to make some of my thoughts clear on this whole consolidation thing and the fact that most of or some of the classes apparently that you would have to take online would not be feasible for most degrees, such as music education, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm a junior now at Kutztown University in the music education program. And I know that personally my professors spoke about this months ago and we're already worried about Kutztown, even though we're not in the plan yet to be consolidated. But they were saying, please start speaking out and telling people to speak against this plan as they are worried for their own jobs and the music education department being cut from there as it was at places like Clarion and many others already. So that's one thing. I also want to say I will not be thanking you for today for speaking on saving my education, as this is not a privilege. It should be a right for everyone to have a say in this. So further on, I hope everyone finds that clear that this should not be a privilege for you. There should be more hearings for you to speak on this, and there should be more time. So I hope that this vote is delayed further on and that the vote is no when it comes time to be, and that we spend more time dedicating raising funds for the schools themselves instead of consolidating and taking away the programs from people, especially the lower income communities where these colleges are, because those are opportunities lost for those students. And I know that those students would not want to be taking their classes online and getting their degrees online when they could instead be working with professors one-on-one and getting that degree in person. So those are my thoughts. Thank you for looking down off the screen and not looking at me. I hope you all listen to me because I cannot tell. Yeah, there you are. Goodbye.
Next, we'll go to A, Wine. And again, thank you all for those who you had your hands, but I see your back. Appreciate that. If you do intend to talk tonight, please go ahead and raise your hand now because we will be closing the queue shortly. A, Wine.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. Hi, my name is Alicia Wine, and I entered college as a low-income, first-gen queer student back in 2013. I transferred to LHU from Misericordia and found a place where I belonged. As a result of many of the professors who have spoke today, Erin Kennedy, Gayatri Devi, Lizette Schillig, Jennifer Taylor, and Peter Campbell. Peter Campbell has remained someone that still checks in from time to time. I talked to Dr. Devi a month or so ago, and Dr. Kennedy had my sister in class this semester. This is what LHU is about. I'm a 2018 and 2020 graduate of LHU, as well as a 2020 graduate of Bloomsburg University. Yes, I did 2 masters simultaneously. My wife is a 2019 grad of LHU and a current master's student at Clarion University. My brother is a 2019 grad of Shippensburg, and my sister is a rising junior at LHU. You could say we are a Pashy family. I fell in love with LHU and once called it home. I loved it so much that I sold it to so many prospective students as an admissions ambassador during undergrad, and then as a graduate assistant in the athletic department at Bloomsburg University as an athletic academic advisor. But if I'm being honest now, I can't say that I would currently try to sell the Pashy system at all to any high school students. That isn't due to the faculty, staff, or the respective communities, as I currently live in Bloomsburg. It is a result of the uncertainty and lack of transparency. As someone who now works in higher ed, as an admissions counselor at Lake Cumming College, I think it's very difficult for you to ask admissions counselors and anybody at these campuses to try to recruit and retain students at these schools with the lack of transparency. Also, as somebody who works in higher ed, we have to remember that at the forefront of what we do, our job is to do things in the best interest of the students that we serve. We have to listen to the students. We have to respect the students. They are our future. I encourage you to please vote no for me, my siblings, my wife, and all future PASHE system students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to Donald and then Rick.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, my name is Donald Johnson. I'm a citizen and a community member of the Commonwealth. I'm also a businessman, and I just wanted to say I've heard a lot of bad comments to the chancellor, to the plan, and I think to myself as a businessman, the chancellor's doing great things. Instead of using the word consolidate, you're using the word integrate. Instead of saying, you're saying you're for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And, I heard a Latino woman who was saying a fantastic thing of how, no, it wasn't fantastic. She was losing her job, I think. And then there was also someone else who was losing their job. And, doing fantastic, 1,500 people, I think, losing their jobs, but, people are outraged, but the chancellor doesn't seem to be. And, just as a businessman, I got to tell you, he's doing great things, just staying calm, cool, and collected. And I see Cindy Shapira, I think, in a hotel. It could be one of my hotels. I don't know, but maybe that's just me. But I just love to say, fantastic job. And I believe the chancellor worked at the Gates Foundation before. I'm not a fan of Bill and Melinda Gates, I got to tell you. But the Gates Foundation doing great things, fantastic things. And I got to tell you.
Donald, I think you muted yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of good things in the plan, maybe not so good things. But I don't know. I hear a lot of people saying they want to vote no. As a businessman, I don't know. It's a tough sell. It's a tough time here. And you all are just being like people on Shark Tank. You're just sitting there listening to what the people have to say, and then you say, well, I don't care. I don't like what you're selling me. That's what it seems like over here. I'm really surprised people are letting me speak. I could be cut any minute. I'm surprised. I hope people know. I was the former president. I think so. And maybe the chancellor will be the.
Next, we're going to go to, let's see. Rick Goulet, and apologize everybody for letting him go on a little too long. But it's a free country and you got to make sure the person is responding. So Rick Goulet, you hopefully take a second for you to connect.
Okay. There we go. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
I actually made my statement earlier today in the morning, and so I will ask your indulgence. I am actually going to read a statement from one of my colleagues, and I will apologize in advance. This is from Dr. Slattery Bonnie, not from her comments, which are excellent, I think, but if anybody knows Sandra, she talks very fast, so she knows it was supposed to be a 3-minute statement. I think she could do it in 3 minutes, but I'm afraid that will not happen. The best I've done is about 5. So please bear with me. I will do it as fast as I can. And I know we're in overtime, so I will begin. So my name is Sandra Barney. I'm a history professor at Loch Haven, where I have taught for 26 years. PASHE's Zoom link won't let me in because I'm in Canada now, doing an internship in a museum to prepare to teach in a new program we have been building in cultural heritage tourism. This program will prepare students for employment in the growing field of tourism by integrating heritage tourism into our already strong recreation program. But I may be wasting my time. The retrenchments being planned for Loch Haven for the spring of 2022 are going to eliminate 2 people from the history faculty and 3 of the 5 recreation faculty, and place the recreation management degree in moratorium. Because LHU's administration, guided by Imperial Fiat from Harrisburg, is destroying programs before you even vote on integration. So I am virtually here today pleading for the board to reject this poorly planned integration, but also hoping to shine a light on the damage already being done. I'm the director of the Women and Gender Studies program at Loch Haven. We offer a minor that typically enrolls 30 students. Representatives from our campus who have been involved in integration discussions about interdisciplinary programming report that we cannot secure a commitment on the preservation of our successful women and gender studies minor. As the committee attempts to design a horse, the two-hump camel they are creating destroys opportunities instead of enhancing them. The great irony is that the chancellor hired yet another assistant last year, a vice chancellor of diversity, inclusion, and excellence. Perhaps only some schools, some students are to be guaranteed diverse and inclusive program arrays. Sadly, tragically, those of us at Loch Haven are well aware that the desire to integrate, to consolidate, is driven by a disregard for the students in the communities of rural Pennsylvania. I have taught here since the mid-1990s when Eric Hartman, who founded Save Our State Schools, state system schools, enjoyed the opportunities of an affordable liberal arts education. He played a club sport, served in student government, studied abroad, held a grant-funded position in a service learning office that defined his career going forward, and left LHU prepared for law school and ultimately a doctoral program. He traveled the world running an international service learning agency and is now employed at an elite academic institution. He is a bright light in the study and implementation of experiential learning in an international context. In the new version of Loch Haven being created in anticipation of consolidation, the opportunities Eric enjoyed will not be available to students. I can say this confidently because due to chronic underfunding of PASHE by the legislature of Pennsylvania, the opportunities Eric knew have already been assaulted. Our service learning program, where he started his career, used to be a model for other institutions. It provided opportunities both domestically and abroad for hundreds of students every year. It does not exist any longer. Our study abroad programs, which were an astounding resource for first-generation students, have been starved to death. As someone who used to take students to study in Ireland, I cannot begin to tell you how important those experiences were for my students. I have a vivid memory of a young man who had never flown repacking his suitcase on the floor of Newark Airport because he had brought literally all the clothes he owned, including his work boots. We packed him back up for the plane and left the rest of his things in my car. That young man teaches social studies in South Carolina now. Music, theater, dance, the arts have been gutted at Loch Haven. If the proposed retrenchments that hang over a quarter of Loch Haven's faculty go through, advanced English, history, and political science courses will not be offered on our campus. Given the uncertainty of the NCAA's ruling, can we be confident that sports will be available? It becomes more and more clear that the overarching goal of this integration is to move resources from the rural colleges and consolidate them in those schools south of Interstate 80. I fear that the real goal here is not integration, but disruption and destruction. This plan creates data that supports a narrative that the smaller rural campuses are only a drain on the system. By selling that narrative, we make it true. I beg you to realize that these decisions have real consequences for our students' lives. I beg you to vote against this plan. I beg you to instead use your possession to insist that the chancellor and his bevy of assistants go back to the legislature and seek adequate funding for the system. Access to the theater, to the residential college experience, to gender studies programs, to language courses, to study abroad, and to face-to-face instruction cannot be reserved for the affluent, for the suburban only. First-generation students, economically disadvantaged students, young people from rural places and urban centers, they all deserve every educational option we can put before them. It is our job to give them all that we possibly can, to open every door for them, to give them music and art and dorm life and theater and travel and sport. As long as PASHE sees them only as numbers, as long as there is no value for those which cannot be quantified, then we continue slouching toward Bethlehem, destroying the future for our most vulnerable students. I thank you for Sandra Barney, who stated that.
Rick, thank you for sharing Sandra's comments. Next, we'll go to Ashley, and we'll promote Ashley to the panelist. And then we'll have Jacqueline, Nick, B. Arthur, Jessica, Jennifer, Wendy, and Bob. And Bob will be our last speaker. So Ashley, go right ahead. I think
okay,
you're
yeah. So hello, my name is Ashley Lawson, and I am currently a student at Loch Haven University. I am here to urge you all to vote against these consolidation plans if the time does come. At the very least, I would ask you to delay and reassess some of the things that are in the plan. So I just kind of want to talk about my personal story. As a non-traditional student, I made the decision to uproot my whole life and move 3 hours away from home. One of the big components of the integration is something that, like, I did this in the middle of the pandemic. I've dealt with this for the last year. One of the biggest parts of the plan is online learning. Online learning has made me unable to connect with the community in Lock Haven. I don't fully believe that you can have students taking some amount of online classes while also expecting them to feel as though they are in a community. And that is what colleges and universities are supposed to offer us, is a community feel. So another fear of mine is along the lines of lack of enrollment. My parents own their own business in my hometown, and a lot of customers have been asking about what's going on because my mom is involved in the local politics back home. And along with the business, it is a good forum for her to hear people's concerns. And even though she is just running for township office, people have asked her about this, and people are worried for their kids who are graduating from the local high school to go to something that is so uncertain because we don't know what's truly going to happen with these plans. And then my next fear actually has to do with athletics. With the consolidation between Lock Haven, Mansfield, and Bloomsburg, we don't have a word from the NCAA. I'm a student athlete on the women's golf team, which just started this year. And we don't know if we'll have that. We don't know if we will still have that. And that, although I love Lock Haven, that was like the added bonus for me, was that I still got to compete in the sport that I love, to get back into it after 4 years of having like no competition between high school and college, because I took 4 years off because I'm technically considered a low-income student. I had to build myself up so that I could eventually attend a school. And then the next thing is that as Jackie Snedden had kind of alluded to earlier in her comment in the session, I would like to kind of sadly admit that I have begun looking into other universities in the state of the event that this consolidation plan is approved. My education, as well as everyone else's, should not be sitting at this level of unknown, especially when we are paying for you guys to advocate for us, to make the best decisions for us. We feel that you are not doing so. That is all I have to say. Thank you. Apologies for being emotional, but thank you.
No apologies needed. Thank you, Ashley. Next, we'll go to Jacqueline and then Nick. Give Jacqueline a moment to connect.
Okay, I think I got it figured out this second time around. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to speak again to express additional concerns about the consolidation plan. First, I want to take a moment and thank my colleagues at our unaffected sister institutions for speaking out in these hearings. And also address the question raised yesterday by Martha Doncor from Westchester regarding why you have heard from so many folks at Westchester University compared to those of us at integrating institutions. I am tenured with nearly 10 years of service at Clarion University, but the fear of retrenchment is real. I have no illusions that my position is secure beyond the next academic year. Faculty at consolidating campuses may fear being labeled as a troublemaker and that it will impact them and their department if they speak out. My junior faculty colleagues, particularly those working towards tenure, may feel vulnerable to retribution if they speak up. What does this say about the process and the transparency when we feel that way? The answer is that consolidation is scary enough that even faculty at our unaffected sister schools are standing up and asking you to say no. I also would ask you to consider that in the middle of a global pandemic, while learning how to best meet the needs of our current students remotely. Faculty at consolidating institutions were asked to design degree programs in an advisory capacity only, without knowing if these degrees will actually be offered to our students at the new institution. Yes, my colleagues and I have participated in the integration planning, but don't interpret that as a resounding support of this plan. In fact, some faculty have participated because they believe the Board of Governors approval is a foregone conclusion. And this is our only chance to shape the kind of education we are able to offer our students, who don't just get in a car or on a plane to attend another institution if they don't attend our public regional comprehensive university. Other faculty have been involved because they believe if they don't look like they are engaged in the process, they could be let go. Again, I ask you, vote no or delay consolidation. The concerns raised by students, faculty, and community members in these public hearings are more than just issues of clarity and points of confusion. Stakeholders deserve a plan that clearly illustrates how it will increase opportunities for students while ensuring our institutions are here to serve for decades to come. To the Board of Governors members who have been listening to the many comments in opposition to the current plan, show us your commitment to providing more opportunities to our students. Advocate for more funding for our students and vote no on consolidation. Or at the very least, pause or delay the consolidation to allow more time to fully develop a plan that all stakeholders can support. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Next, we'll go to Nick, then B. Arthun. Just give Nick a moment to connect.
Hi, everyone. My name again, Nick Marcel, grad student at Westchester University. I just wanted to come on one more time just to ask the board, vote no. Just vote no. And to ask anyone that's watching, please, please, please come join us with Patchy Defenders. Let's fight for a fully funded system. This is what we need to do. We don't need consolidation. We need a fully funded system. That's it. We're meeting tonight. Follow us on Twitter at Defenders Patchy. We have rallies this weekend at Bloomsburg, Lock Haven, Mansfield. Join us. And I hope the Board of Governors might too. I don't know. Maybe you could be allies. I would hope. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nick. And next we will go to B. Arthun, and then after that is Jessica Britton. Just take a moment to promote to panelists.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bim Arthun, and Randy, I couldn't wait to tell you what a great job you're doing till you kicked me out of the queue.
Right.
So thank you for doing a great job, and thank you for not shutting off comments at 6 o'clock. I've been in the queue for about an hour and 20 minutes. So
thank you for hanging in there.
Yeah, so I thank you for not, like I said, for not shutting us off. My name is Bim Arthun, and I'm here to comment as a member of the general public, a taxpayer, a product of public education, and the mother of a Clarion alum. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm also an employee of AppScuff, but like my colleagues who've spoken before me, I was not asked by my employer to be here. I'm on my time, and these are my thoughts. But it is the fact that I work for AppScuff that this issue is on my radar screen in the first place. And I can't help but wonder how many people who are here or who were in previous sessions also have this on their radar screen because it's job related. It seems like a lot. Surely during these sessions, the Board of Governors has noticed the lack of comments and participation from other stakeholders. Where are the students? We've had a handful speak and we've seen an increase in this session versus prior ones. Where are their family members? Where are the alumni? Where are the small business owners from California, Clarion, Edinburgh, Mansfield, Lock Haven, and Bloomsburg? Where are the local chambers of commerce? Surely they all have a stake in this. Is it possible that they aren't fully aware of what's going on because integration/consolidation isn't their job? You all have been living, eating, sleeping, breathing consolidation for months. So it's easy to feel that everyone else is or should be where you're at, but they aren't. And expecting them to be in the same place is unreasonable because it's not their job, it's not their duty. It's kind of like, think about how an algorithm fills a social media news feed with items of interest to you based on your online activity. It can make you feel like everyone agrees with you when the truth of the matter is you're only seeing a very small piece of a very large puzzle. We've heard an overwhelming number of comments opposed to this plan over the past 2 days. Please don't ignore that. When I hear comments from you that say, your feedback will help us hone the plan, that tells me that you're still trying to find a way to make this fit an agenda that people simply do not support. As one commenter said yesterday afternoon, she felt like this was an exercise in futility. Prove her wrong. As a member of the general public, I encourage you to be a model board. Be a board that's above reproach by making sure that all of the stakeholders have all of the information. Be above reproach because you've been forthcoming with data, because you've been inclusive and transparent in a way that's really meaningful. How many faculty members have we heard say that they were on the integration committee because they felt they had no choice but to participate? Solicit comments during the school year when students are on campus, not squeezing feedback into 4 scheduled 90-minute sessions at the end of a very difficult and unusual school year. Board of Governors, be above reproach by taking away any argument that your decisions or actions or timing were questionable in any way. Hear what is being said. It's not that people don't want or don't see a need for change. They're saying that this is not the right change at the right time and certainly not at the right speed. It feels like ready, fire, aim. Please stop pushing forward a plan that has so much opposition. Try to imagine the conversation we could be having today if the energy that's been invested in consolidation had been invested in seeking adequate funding. Wow. Slow the process and focus on finding a solution that is good for the system, its students, employees, and communities, because if it's worth doing well. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. And next we'll go to Jessica. And just so you all know, we have Jennifer, Wendy, then Bob. So Jessica Britton. Take a moment to connect. Then after Jessica, it will be Jennifer, Wendy, and Bob. We can see you.
Hi, everyone.
There you go.
Hi, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I speak to you today as a proud graduate of Bloomsburg University and also a resident of Bloomsburg currently. And I would strongly urge the Board of Governors to vote no on this consolidation plan. At the very least, delay the vote so there can be further study and further public comment. Public comment is wonderful, but it would also be great if it could involve some discussion and some question and answer. Without getting into the specifics, too many of the specifics of the plan, which many of others have done extremely effectively, I would point out both how rushed the plan has been and how just sort of cruel the timing has seemed. Pressure was placed on faculty to participate in a plan to save their departments, their jobs, and their students' educational opportunities in what was already probably the most difficult year of their teaching career. Staff who often serve the universities extremely well, but for less pay and less job security, are afraid to speak out against it. As an extremely proud Husky, I could go on for hours and hours about the relationships that I had with my professors and with Bloomsburg University staff. Knowing that their jobs are in danger in this way is really both heartbreaking and infuriating. It has been stated at the start of each of these sessions that current and future students are the priority of the Board of Governors. Yet students have either been left out entirely or have too many unanswered questions to count. It has become very obvious that students have questions about their scholarships, about accreditation, about athletics, about student government, honor societies, clubs and activities, about work study positions, access to libraries, resources, the list goes on and on. We know that many of our students, especially in the rural areas, do not have access to reliable broadband internet. We don't want to make it harder for these students to learn. I can say confidently that these schools are often the heartbeat of their communities. We have that in Bloomsburg. The economic impact, as well as just the community impact, is really immeasurable of losing these schools or significantly downsizing them. The plan is being proposed without a concerted effort to lobby the Pennsylvania legislature to do their job and fully fund the PASHE system. I'm sure all of us who have spoken publicly are willing to reach out to our legislators, but it should be the Board of Governors and the Chancellor's highest priorities. Legislators always pay lip service to the importance of education and opportunities for our kids, and they alone have the power to fund the state system in the way that it should be funded. I strongly, strongly urge the Board of Governors to listen to the well over 100 public comments in opposition to this plan. Please, please vote no and find a better way to fund higher education in Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Next, we're going to Jennifer and then Wendy. Give Jennifer a moment to connect.
Hello.
We see you.
My name is Jennifer Deitloff, and I'm a faculty member at Lock Haven University. I want to say thanks to anyone who is still on the Zoom or listening through YouTube that's not required to be here. I've been here and have my hand raised since 4:32, waiting. I got kicked off once on my own and then with the other issue. So I've been trying to stay on through dinner time for 3 kids and going on 3 hours of TV so that I can be ready when I was called. We also live in the city of Lock Haven. So even though my comments are mostly regarding the academic side of the plan, and I'll mention this again at the end of my comments, I am significantly concerned for the community of Lock Haven as well. I am speaking to encourage the board to vote no on this plan. As others have said, the plan is lacking in specificity to achieving the proposed outcomes, and as is, does not serve the Commonwealth. It will not help students, and it will decimate small communities in Pennsylvania. While I believe that a plan to increase efficiency across the whole system is possible and would be very positive for the system, this current plan will not be doing that. I have 2 main objections with the plan. First is that it does not provide logical steps to accomplish the proposed outcomes, and therefore it is not a well thought out plan. The plan proposes that it will save the state system money, but how that savings will occur is not clear throughout the plan. And others have given specific examples of that. In addition, the Chancellor's office has requested millions and millions of dollars over the next 4 years to support this consolidation. The plan proposes that it will decrease the cost of education for students, but when asked how that will occur, the answers given are things that students can already do. So again, the consolidation plan is not accomplishing what it's proposing to occur or a proposed outcome. So consolidation is not helping our students and their families with the burden of a college tuition. The plan proposes that it will increase student opportunities, but how will that happen when a significant number of programs are being cut, programs that attract students. If these increased opportunities include classes that students do not want, such as increased online or hybrid courses, how will that serve our current students or attract additional students? From surveys, we have evidence that after online learning because of COVID, this evidence demonstrates that students in general are not interested in obtaining a degree if their courses will be delivered online, whether that's their upper level majors courses or their general education courses. They just won't come to these PASHE schools. They'll choose a different university. How will students have more opportunities when faculty are laid off at the level that is being proposed? For example, for language for any major, any student will increase opportunities. However, at LHU, we will not have foreign language classes soon. Faculty provide important courses, internships, and research experiences for students to succeed after college. And we provide mentorship that tailors their education to the future that they are hoping for. If the consolidation plan was done carefully, you would need to know the breadth of faculty experience at this new university before making such drastic and damaging decisions. With my second objection, I'll be more brief. My second objection is that there is a high probability that the consolidation and the job loss will destroy communities in Pennsylvania that are in most need of the economic benefits that having a university provides for them. Losing 40 to 50 well-paying jobs in Lock Haven will significantly impact the revenue of restaurants and small businesses that are locally owned, of nonprofit organization, daycares, and I could go on. If the board is looking for actionable items, one would be to not cut the faculty and programs until we understand what the layout of the consolidated university could be. And second, do not require that students take courses online to complete their degree. The state system is supposed to support and serve the people of Pennsylvania, but this consolidation plan is not in harmony with that mission. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Next, we're going to Wendy, and then Bob will be our last speaker. So Wendy, just give you a moment to connect.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you, all governors, for giving us our attention for as long as you have. This has been a long session, and I appreciate that you are still with us. I'd like to tell you briefly as possible, that I have some concerns about the integration, and I'm going to refer to it as the plan. One of my concerns happens to be the debilitating effect that this will have on the city of Lock Haven, but I realize that this is not your priority. So I'm not going to spend time saying any more about that. I would like to say, though, that how shocked that I am that Dr. Severn and Dr. Taylor are among the people who are being retrenched. And I can't help but think that these are huge losses with many more to come, and that this is possibly a blunder. I just want to use that word. The decimation of the LHU faculty will have a very definite effect on what LHU can do. Now, who am I? I am a liberal arts alumna of Lock Haven. I offer a small science scholarship award there. I happen to be a physical neighbor of the campus, and I am a tax-paying community member, which you will now be hearing from another community member. And I have a visual aid. All right, this is Arch Akeley. I don't know if you can see this. Now, he was a member of the Board of Trustees. He was a member of the Board of Trustees at Lock Haven University, and some of you may know that there's a building on campus named after him, Akeley Hall. He was on the Board of Trustees of Lock Haven not because he lived here, but because he knew that Lock Haven and similar schools were vital to his county. He knew everyone whom he could know who was in education in Pennsylvania during his time. He was a strong, strong advocate for small schools who served Potter County. Potter County is where he was superintendent of schools. I thought you would like to know that. However, now you may ask, what does that matter today? Well, 3 or 4 generations down the road, Lock Haven is still serving kids from rural, low-income counties, serving kids who are first-generation students from families who are low or middle income. These are families that work hard to better their quality of life, and they hope that their children can go to college and do the same. Now, I'm confident that you already know this, but I thought that it was worth mentioning here and possibly repeating. Lock Haven serves first-generation kids from families that are not well off. Now, we have to ask, how will this plan help students? Students and their families are interested in the cost of tuition, and I'm going to keep talking, I apologize. Where are the savings in the plan that will help lower student costs, or in fact, any costs? And as has been said by the chancellor, students are interested in growth opportunities. Now, where are the opportunities for the individual student if they must switch campuses on their way to their 4-year degree, or if they must attend some classes online? Local students here do not do well online. If I'm a parent of a just graduated junior, a rising senior, I am absolutely not letting my young person even consider any of these 6 universities, simply because you do not know yet how courses will go, how many classes will be online, what sports will be offered, or even if chemistry or other basic majors will continue. So to recap, I see no cost savings guaranteed in the integration plan. The cuts that you are proposing do not automatically promote growth opportunities for individual students, and the plan may well not actually be in line with the PASHE mission. So please, I'm going to ask you, turn your excellent brains toward the situations that do need real solutions. I have faith that you can do this. I have faith that you can do something to save Mansfield with creative financial opportunities, such as those that are offered to Cheney. I have faith that you can give Lock Haven University the time to turn itself around under the leadership of a local president. And I'm sorry, Dr. Hannah, I'm just going to say that a president in absentia, even if it would be you, that is just simply not appropriate. Governors, please stop, think, advocate, be inspired, if you will, by a former advocate. At least put the plan on pause and give yourselves the time that you will need to develop something that can work for your target clients. These are future state system students, and these are going to be the people who will be Pennsylvania in the years to come. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Wendy. And our last speaker will be Bob. I'll give Bob a moment to get connected.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
Are we good? Okay, thanks, Randy, and everybody. My name is Bob McIntyre, a Clarion graduate, and an IUP master's graduate of a couple decades ago. Living out of state right now, but certainly benefited from both my programs at Clarion and IUP. And I've been reading over the last, many months, 18 months plus, and even a couple of years ago. And from my reading and observations of listening to these hearings, and it's what's been mentioned by a couple people here as we kind of wind down, the inherent pressure that has been put on all of the parties to the chancellor's office, immense pressure, board of governors pressure, faculty, students, presidents at the individual universities, faculty, students at those campuses, extreme pressure. To be honest with you, I would say every party has very valid points. The reality is, though, is the financial situation, the financial driver behind now actions and a proposal that has been put in place. And the one party not in this hearing today, I don't believe, or yesterday, is once again, as some have mentioned, the Pennsylvania State Legislature. That is really, from my view, the Achilles heel. And not to oversimplify, but possibly just in the spirit of getting ideas out there, if in fact this is going to take, the integration plan inherently is going to take several $100 million over a 4 to 5 year period of time. Right now, Harrisburg is providing the horse racing industry $200 million a year. So there can be prizes at the horse races to get good horses to race. Whereby right now, the participation and the audiences going to the tracks are really minimal. In my opinion, the state system, and especially these 6 schools in this wave of potential merger and consolidation, should win over that. That should be a no-brainer. But that's a discussion for our state legislatures. So I offer that up, but I also, as we kind of end, as an ending comment and maybe a starting point for moving forward, is for the state legislature to really take a step back, look at what the role of the higher ed system should be in the state, the role of state funding to support that, and not be down at the bottom of the country's rankings, as all of the information is indicated and many people have spoken to. And then for PASHE leadership and each university campus, its leadership team, the president's team, to really take a little bit of time to remove that pressure that has us where we are today, that was potentially somewhat accelerated with the dynamics of COVID that couldn't have came at a worse time. Nevertheless, all of these questions that are being asked and looked at are legitimate. It does seem to me, from 40,000 feet away down here in Charlottesville, Virginia, that this does call for some additional time, or we risk unintended consequences that could put the system, the 6 potentially merged colleges at significant risk. And that's really what I had to share in my thoughts from out of state, but still feeling quite a tie to Clarion, IUP, and the state system. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for your comments. And Madam Chair, that is everybody on the speakers list.
All right, thank you. Look, my thanks to everybody. We were happy to go, as long as we needed to go for everybody who got in queue to speak, and to speak for as long as they wanted to speak. And so I thank everybody that participated and everybody that listened. Thank you so much, presidents, for being here. And I just wish everybody a very good evening. We're taking your comments very seriously. I'll say it again. Very much appreciate your engagement. Dan, do you have any final words? You're on mute.
You're on mute, Dan. Dan, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Dan.
Dan, you're on mute. He's tired.
You're on mute, sorry.
Thank you, Cindy. Just to echo your thoughts, thank our presidents, our board members who are on Zoom and also listening via YouTube. And finally, to thank Randy for shepherding us through so elegantly well.
Yeah, did a great job, Randy.
Thank you.
One hiccup.
Thank you, everyone.